As someone who grew up with the prequels and rode the hate train started with the Red Letter Media's review, as time marched on, I have gained a new appreciation and noticed intriguing concepts behind the prequels. The Phantom Menace's impact to the pop culture isn't much to do with the movie itself, but its responses. It shaped the fandom culture, the fan expectations, and spawned the internet age critique.
Then the movie starts.
Already I knew, it's like just the language of the crawl was wrong. It just didn't feel right, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay with it, you know?
It went from this glow up here in your heart, and then it descended, and then it went down, and then it just shat here, right?
And I just remember, thinking, oh my God, is it really this, is it actually this bad?
It just felt like being slapped in the face with wet fish.
It was like, what? This could suck?
I'm starting to deflate a little bit, but, I'm still at Star Wars. It's gonna be, okay, Jedi's not great, but, whatever, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be good.
We never got to see such a reaction to The Phantom Menace maybe until The Last Jedi. It is an enigma you can analyze in so many different ways. Any Star Wars prequel analysis that does not take the factors of the creator, and his vision, influences and thematic relevancy in relation is a garbage critique, because as far as the movies were concerned, Lucas was Star Wars and Star Wars was Lucas. Anyone having any problem with that is free to have their opinion, but that is an irrefutable fact. Each movie in George Lucas' filmography is a glance into his mind. He has his style and always puts out his worldview, history, experience, philosophy, politics, and influences. You watch his films as a vehicle to get a sense of who he is in real life. He is not afraid to try something and then leave that behind to try something else. If he were any other creator, he would have milked what the original trilogy did for as long as he can. Lucas could have given the audience what they wanted and expected based on the information from the original trilogy. The original trilogy was about the underground rebels fighting the fascist oppressors and Luke going through a hero's journey to become a legendary Jedi. That's easier to write, good versus evil. The prequel trilogy could have given another space adventure story inspired by the myths of World War II of how there was a war between the good Republic and the evil Empire led by the Emperor, and the heroic Jedi fighting off the army of stormtroopers to the end. Instead, he did it for the OT and then tried something else with each prequel installment. The OT was Kurosawa meeting Flash Gordon with the Vietnam War politics. The Phantom Menace was an anti-colonial twist on the 1939 movie Gungan with the post-Cold War politics. Watching this movie will make you understand much of the bizarre decisions he made in The Phantom Menace, even Jar Jar Binks. Attack of the Clones was Dr. Zhivago in space, Revenge of the Sith was an agglomeration of Faust, Oedipus Rex, and the classic Hollywood epics with the post-9/11 politics.
Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists. Either you're with us, either you love freedom, and with nations which embrace freedom, or you're with the enemy. There's no in-between. You're either with us or you're with the enemy.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
All the three movies were thematically built toward the cautious tale about how those bad guys in the OT came to power from the supposed good side that is, intentional or not, pertinent to the time we live in. The Republic was the one that became the Empire amidst the propagated, senseless war. The Jedi bought into that lie and fought alongside the stormtroopers without realizing they were the pawns in the galactic-wide political chess game, and the failing institutions and liberal democracy eventually gave way for a dictator. In other words, he took the most popular modern American cultural landmark to make radically anti-war, anti-Bush, and anti-American movies right at the feverish height of the War on Terror. The prequels are less Flash Gordon the fans loved about Star Wars, but more Dune and the Foundation. That's much more difficult to write because there are multiple factors and complex political dynamics to consider. You need to be a great writer to make that into an actual story, not just a political history lesson, and an even better one to get some good story out of that. Lucas had to do that while juggling Anakin's fall to the dark side and inventing a digital approach to the Hollywood filmmaking, all crammed in an entertainment for children. In the blockbuster franchise filmmaking where everything is following a familiar direction to pander the fans, Lucas just did his own thing with his self-financed media empire, self-financed studios, self-financed filmmaking, and self-financed blockbusters. You can't get that type of authenticity from any other blockbuster. That is the biggest difference between him and his successors like J.J. Abrams and Dave Filoni, who always operate on, what would Lucas do? No one could argue they are worse directors or writers than Lucas, but are they better creators than him? Can I see parts of who Filoni and Abrams are through their works in the same way I could see who Lucas was? The ideas present in their works are not from any actual belief as much as them trying to flow with the trends and fans. Good or bad, Lucas has always had a different view of the series compared to the fan bases. Much like Metal Gear with Hideo Kojima, the series was basically a documentary of George Lucas with fictional stories and whatnot. Star Wars was a template for him to do whatever he wanted and push the filmmaking to a next step. He has always been the type of creator that would experiment new things or change series fundamentals from movie to movie regardless of the fan reaction, formula, legacy, or lore. The result was a hot mess you can pick apart to mock. Overused CGI, Jar Jar was annoying, the incomprehensible politics, C-3PO's appearance, the virgin birth, the bad dialogues, the bad acting, and midichlorian. Lucas is a fantastic example to discuss the merits of auteur theory. The original trilogy was visionary, but the heavily refined products. Lucas had concepts, characters, overarching storyline, and world building, but with The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, the other writers and directors were brought in to execute Lucas' ideas. Even with A New Hope, in which Lucas was credited as a sole writer, Lucas' friends Gloria Katz and her husband Willard Huyck have done the uncredited rewrites. According to the book, Star Wars, the annotated screenplays, they wrote about 30% of the dialogue in the final draft, and most of memorable banters between Han and Leia were theirs. Then Lucas got studio feedback, actors added and changed their dialogues, and an enormous editing process that doctored and pieced things together by pretty much everyone involved, just like every other aspect of the movies. Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Alec Guinness were well known for ad-libbing and script doctoring.
And it was so hard, a lot of times, it's a true story. Harrison Ford, who plays the space pirate in the film, at one point threatened to tie George up and make him say his own lines at gunpoint. I mean, the dialogue was a little bit difficult. I remember there was one line that I just begged him to take out of the screenplay, and he finally did. And it's when, yes, boy, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I sometimes dream about this line. It was just coming upon the exploded planet of the princess, Alderaan, and it's totally been blown away. And Harrison says, look, kid, I've done my part of the bargain. When I get to an asteroid, you, the old man, and the droids get dropped off. And my line was, but we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Solus. And what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. And I thought, who talks like this, George? I mean, this is really not fair because, you know, we're the ones that are going to get vegetables thrown at us, not you.
And then I started reading, and it seemed to me the dialogue was pretty ropey. But I had to go on turning the page. And I mean, that's an essential in any script. You've got to know what happens next or what's going to be said next. And I went on reading, and I thought, no, I like this. If only we can get some of the dialogue altered.
Harrison always changed his dialogue, too, so they really wouldn't let me until the second film. And then they didn't really want the princess to be that funny, especially when I was in the iron bathing suit.
I said to George, you can type this stuff, but you can't say it.
With more voices, better the movies got. On the contrary, the prequels were technically the most expensive indie movies ever made. He didn't make them with the other studios. He funded production out of his pocket, made them on his own, and sold distribution rights of the finished films to Fox, so he ignored the warnings from the Fox executives. The prequel trilogy is an example of what Lucas made as an auteur with a singular vision. Look no further than the special editions to get a dose of Lucas' unadulterated vision. In The Empire Strikes Back, he replaced the succinct
"Bring my shuttle,"
direct and indicative of Vader's rage, with the monotone
"Alert my Star Destroyer to prepare for my arrival."
This is a great example of George's approach to dialogue writing. I am curious if Ron Howard, Robert Zemeckis, and Steven Spielberg rejected the directing offer out of respect for their friend Lucas or read the script for The Phantom Menace and noped out. If Lucas planned the trilogy right or had someone like Lawrence Kasdan to touch his plan, most of the surface-level problems would have ironed out, and the pod racing sequence could have been iconic as the Death Star battle. After all, good ideas are not the same as good execution. Defenders always hide behind the vague premise being interesting as the sole reason for liking the movies. Yes, the general concepts are great, fascism's rise in a democratic society, and about any and all people's potential to unintentionally assist in evil regardless of their intentions' purity. The story itself is not. The plot reads like a rough first draft, combined with 3 different scripts strung out on Datura. It is a disaster of a story, but has the trappings of greatness at its core. Star Wars, an ancient evil is the fanfiction, that aims to fix the story in a way that a hypothetical script doctor would come to the writing team to change up the script before the filming. This is not redoing the prequels from scratch as the project retains most set pieces and locations but recontextualized. This fanfic sets out to appease those who have certain nostalgia for the movie, people who loved it or hated it. 3 main goals of Redone are: 1. Making the characters active. 2. Raising dramatic stakes and tension. 3. Fleshing out the story elements in a direct and streamlined manner. If you agreed the aforementioned assessment of the prequels, take this as what the prequels could have been. If you love The Phantom Menace, take this as fanfic about alternative episode 1. Either way, I hope you enjoy it. The Phantom Menace novelization efforts by Terry Brooks and Patricia C. Reed have been a massive help for this rewrite. Redone borrows heavily from the 2 novels. Liam Gilby has sent me the mail of the list of feedback regarding Redone, and version 5 was partially inspired by his suggestions. I have also taken some elements from you/Imdocs in Star Wars prequel rewrites. If any of the readers has feedback, I would appreciate it if you DM me or send an email. The small Republic space cruiser, its red color the symbol of ambassadorial neutrality, jumps out of lightspeed and knifes through starry blackness toward the emerald bright planet of Alderaan and the cluster of separatist fleet ships that encircle it. Armaments bristle from every port and bay, and separatist starfighters circle the big beasts like gnats. The more traditionally shaped Republic cruiser, with its tri-engines, flat body, and squared-off cockpit, looks insignificant in the shadow of the separatist battleships, but it continues toward them, undeterred. The cruiser's captain and co-pilot sat side by side at the forward console, hands moving swiftly over the controls as they steer closer to the ship with the separatist insignia emblazoned on its bridge. There is a nervous energy to their movements that is unmistakable. From time to time, they would glance uneasily at each other, and over their shoulders at the figure who stands in the shadows behind. Long queues of freighters and transports are orbiting the planet trying to deliver their cargo, halted and turned away at the gunpoints by the cluster of the separatist fleet ships. Like fat white maggots, the ships spread through space, blocking all access to the planet. In this cockpit, they can hear the conversations between the transports and the battleships.
We are here to deliver the cargo. Open the blockade.
We need to get paid.
Turn away. This is the last warning.
The separatist warships fire warning shots at the freighters. Only then, the freighters begin to turn and retreat. Their cannons then turn to aim at the Republic ship. The Republic pilots turn pale.
Their cannons are turning to aim at our ship.
The cruiser captain turns slightly in her seat to acknowledge the figure concealed in the shadows behind her.
Captain, tell them we wish to land at the Royal Palace at once.
The voice is deep and smooth, but the measure of resolution it contains is unmistakable.
Yes, sir.
View screen lights up. On the screen in front of them, captured from his position on the bridge of the battleship toward which they were headed, is Lieutenant Dalte Dauphine, his reddish-orange eyes staring out at them expectantly. His green-gray skin reflects the ambient lighting of the ship, all pale and cold in contrast to his dark robes, collar, and headdress.
You are approaching the planetary blockade. We are warning you to turn away, or we will fire.
With all due respect, the ambassadors for the Supreme Chancellor wish to land in the Alderaanian Palace immediately.
You must be mistaken. We know nothing about any ambassadors.
This can't go long. Leaning forward, the shadowy figure steps in and peers over the cruiser captain's shoulder, revealing himself to Dauphine's view. His voice is stern.
This is Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn. Queen Breha Antilles of Alderaan has requested Supreme Chancellor Valorum to send a Jedi to handle this issue.
Dauphine fights down his shock and regains his composure.
The Chancellor is sending Jedi Knights?
You have been commanded to reach a settlement with them. What is it to be?
Dauphine shakes his head, drawing himself up in a defensive posture.
Yes, Master Jedi, of course. As their blockade is perfectly legal, we would be happy to receive the ambassadors at their convenience. Happy to.
He stands motionless, eyes fixed on him, as if he can see the truth he is trying to hide, as if he is made of glass.
We shall see. You are forbidden to obstruct the procedure.
He signals to end the transmission. The screen goes dark. The captain hesitates, glancing back at the figure behind her.
Proceed, Captain.
The Jedi Master watches silently as the separatist battleship looms before them, filling the viewport with its gleaming bulk. Qui-Gon Jinn is a middle-aged male human. Tunic, pants, and hooded robe are loose-fitting and comfortable, a sash binding them at his waist where his lightsaber hangs just out of view, but within easy reach. He is a man who gives off an aura of deep calm, yet he is the most alert presence the others have ever experienced. The others feel safe with him. Behind him, there is another Jedi standing to view it all.
They seem willing to let us in, Master.
These separatist types are cowards. The negotiations will be short.
But as he speaks, he wonders. The suffering of the Alderaanians disturbs his thoughts. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a 26-year-old human Padawan. Still learning his craft, he is young enough to be Qui-Gon's son. He is not yet a full Jedi, but he is close to being ready. His smooth, boyish face suggests an immaturity that had been long since shed. He wears the same type of clothes as Qui-Gon, but his hair is cut in the style of a Padawan learner, short and even, save for the tightly braided pigtail that hung over his right shoulder. The Jedi are powerful, but they are guardians only, using their amazing fighting skills to uphold justice. They are the Republic's peacemakers, its rulers are the members of the Galactic Senate. Thousands of delegates, representing every planet in the Republic, meet regularly in the Great Senate chambers on the central world of Coruscant. There they write the laws of the Republic and settle the disputes that sometimes arose between planets. Over the centuries, many problems came before the Senate. At first, the dispute over the system's sovereignty seemed no different from all the others. The Separatist Alliance, an organization of secessionists in the Outer Rim, wanted more control in their homeworlds. The rest of the Senate objected. The debate dragged on and on. Finally, the Separatists lost patience and took more drastic action. They chose the small, watery world of Alderaan and blockaded it, surrounding it with weapons sold by the Trade Federation so that no spaceships could land or take off from the planet. They hoped that the young Queen of Alderaan would agree quickly to their demands. Then they could use Alderaan as an example to force the Senate to accept their demands. But the young Queen did not give in. Tension in the Senate grew worse. Worried that the Separatist blockade might lead to open war, the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Senate, Valorum Organa of Alderaan, asked the Jedi for help. Soon, 2 Jedi ambassadors are on their way to Alderaan to settle the conflict. They expect their mission to be short and simple. As the Republic cruiser flies across the sky, an evening sunset shines the opulent, prosperous capital of Alderaan with a crimson hue. The buildings of Aldera stretch away toward the horizon, a vast sprawl of high stone walls, gilded domes, peaked towers, and sculpted archways. Sunlight bathes the gleaming edifices, their architecture in counterpoint to the lush greenness of the planet. The rush of waterfalls and the bubble of fountains form a soft, distant backdrop. It is indeed an odd choice for a blockade, not particularly important in the scheme of things other than it being renowned galaxy-wide for their planet's unspoiled beauty, refined culture, and commitment to peace, and the palace reflected its history of success until today. Waterfalls thunder nearby. Their spray cools the air. The plaza is wide but desolate. Before the blockade it would have been full of people, the fine crafts of Aldera, the musicians, the food sellers, all the pleasures that could be bought or traded for in the center of the great city. Through a pair of electrobinoculars, someone studies the landing of the Republic cruiser to the platform near the palace. The ship's door opens, and the Republic delegates pour out of the cruiser. The binoculars lower. A figure covered in a dark robe is crouched on the roof of the palace, overlooking the platform. We can only see his hand, the red and black skin, holding the binoculars. In the marble-walled throne room of the Palace of Aldera, the governing council had assembled at last. The members of the Royal Advisory Council, Governor Sio Bibble, Zala Typho, Graf Zappalo, Hela Brandis, Hugo Ekener, Lufta Schiff, are in the room with the Queen. Queen Breha Antilles, the elected monarch of Alderaan, sat on the throne, watching them. The crisis with the Separatist Alliance had brought the governors from every city of Alderaan here. Behind a wide desk, she wears a great headdress and flowing embroidered robes, the same type of outfit her predecessors had worn, but she thinks that she looks nowhere near as regal. She is still in her preteen, still in her girlhood. Here on Alderaan, people elect their rulers democratically. At first, when Breha Antilles announced her intention to run, people scoffed at her. The 12-year-old daughter of humble farmers. Even if King Varuna is corrupt, they asked why should they trust a 12-year-old to rule. They ignored the fact that from an early age, she had been trained by the best teachers on Alderaan. Culturally, the Alderaanians believe youth have an innocent quality that makes them better rulers since they would be more concerned with protecting the future. The elders should advise the young, but it's the young that need to make the decisions. Even though she could best King Varuna in any debate, most still doubted she would ever become a queen, until to everyone's shock, Senator Palpatine campaigned for her. Senator Sheev Palpatine is not only the most popular appointed representative in Alderaan, but he is the most influential political giant in the Senate, who has been nicknamed Bulldozer in his approach of politicking, and to have him to back her publicly was the biggest game changer. Soon, they could not ignore these facts anymore. As she traveled the cities and towns of Alderaan with Palpatine, speaking and listening, the people gave her their trust. They began to brag about her age instead of mocking it. King Varuna was ousted, and she was elected by a majority. She did not get to be queen by being intimidated. But her first real crisis is here. The people of Alderaan are in a stranglehold. The Separatist Alliance has ringed the planet with orbiting ships, preventing any supplies from going in or out. Their thriving trade business has been cut off. Food is scarce. Underneath the eerie quiet on the streets, there is panic. The Separatists are making an example of Alderaan. Cloaked in her ceremonial robes, Antilles sat on her throne, an ornate chair on a raised dais fronted by a low, flat-surface divider. The queen is surrounded by 5 handmaidens, all of them cloaked and hooded in crimson. And her appearance is especially important today. The separatists, she knows, already think that the young, recently elected queen would not have the strength or cunning to resist, which is one of the reasons why they picked Alderaan for their blockade. Her gaze is steady and direct as it takes in the separatist delegates across long steel tables, on which protocol droids bearing trays of luxurious drinks and food place them. The droids hand each a drink. At the other side, Trade Federation Viceroy Newt Gunray is sat there in the chair, lifting the drink. As a Neimoidian, he is the leader of the Separatist Alliance. Lieutenant Rune Hako, Viceroy Newt Gunray's right-hand person, stands next to him. Each side is guarded by its security forces. The Alderaanian palace guards are highly trained bodyguards, wearing red blast-dampening vests and distinctive white service helmets featuring flash visors. On the other side, the B-1 series battle droids stand to guard the separatist leaders. These droids are a prime example of cheap, efficiently produced war machines. Breha Antilles says in as cold a voice as she could manage.
Beware, Viceroy! The separatists have gone too far this time.
Your Majesty, we would never do anything in defiance of the Senate's will. You assume too much.
She'd been patient during the blockade. She'd listened to her council of governors, who all advised her to wait. Supreme Chancellor Finis Valorum had been pleading their case before the Senate on Coruscant. He told her to be patient, too. But she's never been good with patience. For close to a month she'd waited while the Senate has debated. She was no longer willing to wait.
You will not be so pleased when you hear what I have to say. Your blockade has ended.
I am not aware of such a failure.
I have word that the Senate is finally voting on the matter.
I take it you know the outcome already, then. I wonder why they bothered to vote at all.
Enough of this pretense, Viceroy.
Newt and his Neimoidian officials chortle at Breha.
Look at her. She is barely out of girlhood.
At that moment, the tall door behind the queen opens. The Republic delegates have arrived, led by a human male with the well-trimmed black goatee in a clothing well fit for a politician. The Chancellor's ambassadors include the judicials and other diplomatic officials. They are walking by with the 2 Jedi. The governor of Alderaan, Sio Bibble, announces. He is a tall, balding man with a sharply pointed beard and an even sharper tongue.
The Republic delegates have arrived.
The Separatist delegates get to their feet in shock.
Delegates.
When the Chancellor calls on the Jedi, he means business, and the Separatists should crumple like dry leaves. The Separatists can't ignore representatives from the Supreme Chancellor. Breha Antilles shakes the hand of the leader of the delegates with the goatee.
Prince Bail Organa, you've returned at the perfect time. It looks like your stay on Coruscant was a success.
Bail Organa's face breaks into a smile.
On Coruscant, they address me as Junior Representative Organa, Your Majesty.
He humbles himself as a junior member of a senatorial delegation. His princeship on Alderaan is irrelevant in galactic politics. Senators represent sectors, and junior representatives represent the minority groups within such sectors to ensure each minority's needs and wants are in the mind of the senator. With the Alderaanian sector, although Bail Organa only represents the planet of Alderaan, Alderaan is the only notable planet in the entire sector. As their interests always align, Bail Organa is functionally Palpatine's aide.
Our Senator Palpatine made known to the public that we hold the Chancellor personally responsible. The entire galaxy is eyeing on the suffering of our people.
I could only imagine the Chancellor's face turning pale.
I could tell that we'd shocked him.
Fine with me. We'd meant to.
At least he did something. Prince Organa is someone Breha can trust. It wasn't always that way. He had been one of her opposition when she ran for ruler of Alderaan. He dismissed her, at first. He was one of those who argued she was too young. But Bail Organa's opinion has transformed from casual dismissal to cautious respect to genuine loyalty. She feels the same for him. Bail Organa steps beside to show Qui-Gon bowing before the Alderaanian queen.
I am Qui-Gon Jinn and my companion is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan bows.
We are Jedi Knights as well as ambassadors for Supreme Chancellor Valorum. We seek an audience with you.
Thank you for coming here today. I am Queen Breha Antilles. I was expecting you.
The Separatist delegates speak with each other at this unexpected situation. Newt shouts at the Jedi.
We weren't informed.
The Viceroy's communicator rings, and the hologram of Dauphine lights up.
Newt, the Supreme Chancellor has dispatched the Jedi Knights to your meeting.
Newt switches it off, out of embarrassment. Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn walks toward Newt Gunray. His presence is intimidating.
Viceroy Newt Gunray. It is bad enough that you cut off all trades of vital resources, but pretending the blockade is a lawful action is too outrageous for words.
His voice echoes through the chambers. It isn't hard to see the contempt beneath his diplomatic phrases. One thing the Neimoidians have learned is not to let contempt bother them. It means their opponent thinks they are smarter than they are. This time is different. He is facing a Jedi Master, sent by the Chancellor.
Don't be too hasty with your condemnations, Master Jedi.
People are formally demanding you stop this blockade now.
Newt doesn't seem concerned. He shakes his head.
Aren't you people fed up with the corruption, the bureaucrats, and the hypocrisy of the Republic? Aren't you?
His words sting Qui-Gon Jinn, because he knows there is some truth in them. Just enough to give him a modicum of credibility, enough for the Separatists to entice so many systems to join in their alliance.
The ideals are still alive, even if the institution is failing.
You believe in the same ideals we believe in. The same ideals we are striving to make prominent.
Prince Bail Organa interjects into this conversation.
If what you say is true, you should stay in the Republic and help the Chancellor put things right.
His smug smile does not falter.
You loyalists always say that whenever a new Chancellor gets elected, the Chancellor has promised to cut the bureaucracy, but the bureaucrats are stronger than ever.
Ironic how this anti-establishment Chancellor happens to enact policies in line with the standard establishment.
Supreme Chancellor Valorum is such a nothing that he is whatever one want him to be. Radical populist, pushover, stalwart centralist, tepid moderate, conservative elite, aristocrat, professional, pragmatist, perverted. He is a blank state that people project whatever they like into. The quintessential empty suit.
Chancellorship isn't dictatorship. No chancellor can solve every problem alone.
System is what system makes. You are going to have to realize that this reform isn't happening.
Prince Bail Organa firms his jaw against the assault, consciously reminding himself that he is exaggerating, playing things all in a light to give himself credibility. He has learned a trick or two as a junior representative. All he has to do is to see through the lies, to see the fangs beneath the tempting sway of the serpent.
We know of your connections with the Trade Federation. Your proposed political system is one where greedy interests contend for the government as a prize, and treat its organs as instruments to be repurposed, exploited, or destroyed as suits their goals. What is happening here is not government bought out by business, it's business becoming government.
The Trade Federation and the other capitalist interests have hijacked the movement and played on the grievances of the disgruntled and disenfranchised peoples of the Outer Rim. The oligarchs are erecting a new polity where they would be unrestrained in their pursuit of sheer profit by any moral or even prudential regulation.
We don't consider ourselves anti-government, but anti-stupid government. We are exchanging a distant and corrupt central government for a more responsive one.
One even more controlled by the very groups responsible for corrupting that central government. You have taken Alderaan as your breeding ground for corporate colonialism.
Bail Organa's voice slashes like a sword. Qui-Gon jumps in to aid Prince Organa.
Would the Republic have taken such an action and ravaged this world?
Newt scoffs. He seems to have hit the weak point. Score 1 for the Jedi. Breha keeps calm so she wouldn't let out any cheer. In the silence that follows, Newt's staring expression goes from that of a polite dignitary to an angry enemy, for just a flash, before reverting to his usual calm and regal demeanor.
We would like to have a 20-minute break.
Queen Antilles speaks, as if to declare.
10 minutes. We will then resume our conversation to end this blockade.
Newt Gunray and his delegates walk out of the chamber in shame, with the B-1 droids following them, leaving the Alderaanians and the Republic delegates in the chamber. Closing the door, Newt Gunray draws a long breath and exhales, not caring much for how the Jedi made him feel. Newt Gunray has been nervous since the blockade began. Now, he is frightened when he saw the Jedi ambassadors. Rune Hako, a flat-faced, restless sort, wheels on his companion in dismay.
Jedi. The Republic ambassadors are the Jedi Knights.
I knew it. They are sent to force a settlement.
Newt Gunray shakes his head.
It was inevitable. It's too late for them to stop us.
The game's up. Blind me, we're done for. We dare not go up against Jedi Knights. The blockade is finished.
The Chancellor should never have brought the Jedi into this.
Now, facing the communication hologram of Darth Sidious, Newt Gunray is terrified. The Sith Lord is a shadowy, evil figure. Even though he and the other Separatist higher-ups had followed him in secrecy, he always wears a hooded cloak that hides his entire face from his allies. Mysterious and powerful. Somehow the thought is not as reassuring as he had intended it to be. As if unable to endure the silence that follows, Lieutenant Findos charges into the gap, wild-eyed, stammering objections and explanations to the Sith Lord's hologram.
Where have you been? You promised you'd use your connections in the Senate to block the Jedi from ever coming to Alderaan.
You seem more worried about these Jedi than you are about me. I am amused.
Findos seems to shrink.
Viceroy.
Newt's skull ridges go cold, and he has to force himself to step forward.
Yes, my lord.
I don't want that stunted slime in my side again. Do you understand?
Yes, my lord.
Newt glares at Findos until he scurries off like a frightened child. He then fixes on the black form of the Sith Lord in mesmerized terror. Sidious turns to the next Neimoidian in charge, Newt Gunray.
The support from our allies is dwindling. They are growing impatient to see our blockade bear fruit.
Darth Sidious goes on as if nothing had happened.
We must accelerate our plans. Move quickly to disrupt all communications. Begin landing your troops. At once.
Newt stares, completely taken aback. Hundreds of thousands of battle droids stand ready in the holds of his battleships, but he hasn't expected to actually have to use them.
Invasion. Right now.
Alderaan is a green-blue marble in space. It waits patiently for your touch. Capture the Queen to make her support the Separatist cause.
My lord, is that legal?
I will make it legal.
And the ambassadors?
Kill them immediately.
Newt shivers. Sidious' tone leaves no room for doubts or questions. If he can make an invasion legal, he wonders what else is he capable of. His intelligence division has been searching for who this Sidious is, but it has not been successful.
But...
Before Newt can answer, the hologram of the Sith Lord has already vanished. He stares at the space it had left behind for a moment. Behind him the delegates begin arguing.
He is bluffing. The Republic will be provoked if word of our invasion gets out.
Oh, yes, we all know activism involves complaining about the Republic all day. That will give us true change.
But we've already achieved this much without war. We can only achieve this much without war. Now's time for change of course.
Newt takes a deep breath, then turns to face his lackeys. Newt barely hesitates before he gives an order.
We are at a turning point. If we stop here, the history will judge us. Gain a foothold on Alderaan and take the planet by force. Send a squad of battle droids to the delegates. It is time for a message to be delivered with clarity.
Footnote. You would have noticed that the very first thing REDONE changes is the crawl. I like the title, The Phantom Menace, fine enough because it alludes to Palpatine's manipulations in galactic affairs, but the new title, An Ancient Evil, contains more meaning in the story that it is about the return of the Sith. It is a twist on Episode 4's title, A New Hope. Both start with A, consisting of 3 short words, and each word means the exact opposite. Ancient against new, and evil against hope. The title of An Ancient Evil alludes to the existence of Sith, which the Jedi thought to be extinct for ages. It is a more gripping title overall. Another change is turning the Trade Federation into the Separatist Alliance. There's a huge disconnect between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones that the Phantom Menace might as well not exist. Its removal from the trilogy changes almost nothing except establishing Anakin's origins. As the prequel trilogy as a whole, the motivation of the villain organization outside of Palpatine's conspiracy is they wanted to pull the galactic equivalent of Brexit because they saw the Republic to be corrupt. This motivation is easy to follow. Then why are these tax, treaty, and trade needed here? Why is the Trade Federation needed in the first place?
Which started right here with the taxation of trade routes and has now engulfed our entire planet in the oppression of the Trade Federation.
This infamous first line, the taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems, is in dispute, from the crawl pulled the audience out of the movie. That's not an exciting starting line for a Star Wars movie, rather serves better as a first line from the plot summary from a Wikipedia page. Even George Lucas retconned the role of the Trade Federation through the Clone Wars from combatants to war profiteers, so Episode 1 setting feels even more pointless now.
We are businessmen. We deal in trade and commerce.
Yes, but perhaps your business is war profiteering.
How dare you?
I dare, because you claim to have no involvement, and yet here stands the chairman's daughter on your ship, held by your administrator.
What REDONE does is make the villain organization the Separatists from the get-go. The Trade Federation still remains in the story as a bit different role. Other changes in the crawl will be explained in depth later. Alderaan replaces the Naboo in REDONE. Alderaan will look the same as the Naboo depicted in the movie, with the same people and the design, just with a different name and a few small changes. It connects the prequels to the originals by giving a dramatic irony to the events as Alderaan gets destroyed in A New Hope. Bail Organa appears in Episode 1 REDONE, but not as Senator, but the junior representative, the same position as Jar Jar Binks in Attack of the Clones, and as the head of the Republic delegates. Considering how crucial he becomes in Revenge of the Sith, it is a missed opportunity to have him absent in The Phantom Menace. Even his appearance in Attack of the Clones is too insignificant. By changing Naboo to Alderaan, this introduces Bail's character far naturally as a supporting character rather than him coming out of nowhere in Episode 2. Six massive double-winged Separatist landing ships are surrounded by a vast array of transports. The doors open, racks are extended, and thousands of sleek silvery battle droids are marching inside in perfect formation to be secured. 24 of Separatist landing crafts depart these battleships and fly in formation, descending out of the black infinity of space to settle slowly planet-ward. One set of 3 moves away from the others, dropping silently through clouds that hang still and endless across the world's emerald surface, escorted by countless Separatist vulture droids, circling the big beasts like gnats. The portrait of Queen Breha Antilles is hung on the wall. The eyes of the portrait retract, replaced by the menacing yellow eyes, peering inside the chambers, watching the scene unfolding. Beyond the painting, beyond the wall, we can see the same robed figure spying on the conference. This time, we can see more than his silhouette and hand. We can see his yellow eyes shining in the dark. Maul keeps his eyes on the Republic delegates and the Alderaanian leaders in talks about their strategy. She is in talks with Bail Organa and Captain Quarsh Panika. Wearing the Alderaanian Royal Guard uniform, Panika is a powerfully built man with the dark skin. Notoriously conservative, Panika often clashes with Queen Antilles, deriding her controversial methods and retaining the utmost faith in his own. Obi-Wan moves to join Qui-Gon at a towering, floor-to-ceiling window to look out at the beautiful sight of Alderaan. He notes the richness of the materials, the fine workmanship of the furnishings, the grandeur of the hallways and staircases. The glasses reflect back the pools and waterfalls.
Is it customary to make their guests wait this long?
Never assume they are being sincere. Everything they do makes sense if you remember that.
It's not just about them, Master. It's something elsewhere, elusive.
Qui-Gon's hand settles on his shoulder.
Patience, Obi-Wan. Don't center on your anxiety. Keep your concentration on the here and now, where it belongs.
Master Yoda said I should be mindful of the future.
But not at the expense of the present. Be mindful of the living force, my young Padawan.
The older master carries himself with an air of patience tempered by years of experience. It is a profound contrast to the youth he senses from the young Padawan standing next to him. Obi-Wan's preoccupied expression holds a moment longer.
Yes, Master Qui-Gon.
Speaking of the future, what do you sense of it?
Obi-Wan closes his eyes, feeling the cosmic force.
I sense this conflict is casting long shadows across our way, threatening the Chancellor to send the Jedi without notifying the Senate. The Alderaanians made a bold move. Too bold.
At last, the Supreme Chancellor had secretly notified the Jedi Council to send 2 Jedi directly to the ostensible initiators of the blockade, the Separatists, in an effort to resolve the matter more directly.
We do serve the Supreme Chancellor.
Only responding on his direction to life-threatening situations. Any inference in the internal politics, particularly an armed conflict, requires Senate approval.
In theory, politics tends to be a roadblock in the pursuit of justice. That's why it should be the least of the Jedi's concerns.
We're skirting the edges of the Chancellor's authority. This would spark another scandal.
A muscle twitches in one smooth cheek, but other than that Qui-Gon doesn't react. Nor is there the slightest shake in his voice.
This is a special exception. The blockade has been in effect now for almost a month, but the Senate couldn't find an amicable way to resolve the dispute. Now, progress has been made.
Qui-Gon Jinn cannot ignore the implications of what it means if he fails. The Jedi Knights are peacemakers, that is the nature of their order and the dictate of their creed. For thousands of years they have served the Republic, a constant source of stability and order in a changing universe. In the time of Qui-Gon Jinn, over 10,000 Jedi Knights in service to the Republic carry on the struggle each day of their lives in 100,000 different worlds spread across a galaxy so vast it could barely be comprehended. While the Republic and Alderaanian delegates are distracted in a conversation, a batch of Separatist battle droids move onto the upper floor overlooking the room.
Security protocol activated. Shoot to kill.
Why Alderaan? Why blockade this particular planet when there are so many to choose from?
Qui-Gon Jinn senses the very depth of blue haze that surrounds the palace. The other industrialized planets like Corellia would be most larger and more likely to feel the effects of such an action. Alderaan's ruler, Breha Antilles, is something of an unknown. New to the throne, she has only been queen a few months before the blockade had begun.
Perhaps that is itself the reason. Defenseless, easily taken, and the newly elected queen is too young to rule a planet. It's safer to attack someone who isn't likely to fight back.
Then how do you think the Separatists will deal with the Chancellor's demands?
He closes his eyes and retreats deep within himself.
I thought they wouldn't be hard to persuade, but I now sense an unusual amount of maneuvering. I sense fear as well.
Qui-Gon's mind wanders off. Tens of battle droids have gathered on the high floor, forming a line above the delegates. They cock their rifles.
Anger.
The robed figure beyond the painting stares at him.
Hate.
The yellow eyes dissolves too. Qui-Gon's eyes snapping open. He notices, sensing a disturbance.
Danger.
The remote window shutter crashes down right before the two Jedi. All the other windows in the chamber begin to shut and seal with hissing sounds, blocking the sunlight in seconds. The chamber darkens, and only the dim lights from the chandeliers become the light sources. The Jedi turn and look up to see, across the chamber, a squad of battle droids raising their blaster rifles at people. Qui-Gon leaps to his feet in response.
Get down!
He dives, pushing Queen Antilles to the floor. Above him, the battle droids fire off a volley of blaster shots. Obi-Wan draws his weapon, a lightsaber, which lightens up the dark surroundings with a blue light and deflects the bolts away from Prince Bail Organa. The shouts turn to screams as the hellfire of blaster bolts rain down to the chamber. Bodies are riddled with blaster fire. The bolts strike the table. The food, glasses, and plates blow up in crashing noises. As the diplomats dive to the floor, the royal security guards return fire.
Form up. Protect the queen.
Blasts continue to tear into everyone. The protocol droid backpedals quickly, still lifting a tray, muttering its apologies, looking every which way at once.
Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
The droid's head blasts off. Qui-Gon drags Queen Breha Antilles under the table. The chandelier shatters and falls, crashing into the table. People are shouting and panicking, trying to flee, but to no avail. The queen can see the bodies fall to the floor one by one through the gap under the table. Breha screams, her eyes widen in shock.
Just stay down!
Qui-Gon crawls out of the table and ignites his green lightsaber, blocking incoming blaster bolts. He stares at Obi-Wan, who is pinned down and crouched behind the table.
Obi-Wan! We will use the table as a shield!
Yes, Master!
The Jedi reach their hands at one of the tables.
3, 2, 1.
The table floats and flips, held in the air. The queen gets to her feet and hides behind it fast.
Everyone, take cover.
The surviving delegates, handmaidens, and security guards rush behind the floating table. The steel table is solid enough to protect them from blaster fire. The Jedi then move the table toward the exit door to escape the carnage. When they near the door, Captain Panica touches the door control.
The door's locked.
Obi-Wan's lightsaber cuts at the towering door, melting away the steelcrete like soft butter. Sparks shower up the blast door under attack by the Jedi. Drawing a square at the center of the door, a chunk of metal turns molten and drops away, revealing more battle droids waiting for them beyond the door. Through the eye hole in the painting, we can see the battle droids mowing down the last of the screaming Republic delegates. A blaster bolt hits the queen in the right leg. Breha screams and flops on the floor.
Your Majesty.
Beyond the portrait, we see the robed man's grin upon witnessing the flailing queen. Qui-Gon Jinn puts the table down and charges to the open exit, swinging his weapon and sending 3 battle droids flying in a shower of sparks and metal parts that scatter everywhere. Obi-Wan deflects blaster fire back. He raises his hand, palm outward, and another of the droids goes crashing into the wall. Beyond the painting, the red and black hand reaches for the belt, in which a gleaming lightsaber is fitted in the socket. A small blue hologram of Sidious pops on his wristband. The person in the dark begins to report. There is an undercurrent of primal rage and ferocity in his voice.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge.
Not yet. You have been well trained. There will be no match for you, but this is not the time.
Frustrated, the robed being takes his hand off his lightsaber. Obi-Wan carries the wounded queen on his back.
Everybody, out of the chamber!
Once everyone is out of the room to the hallway, the 2 Jedi then float the table and block the door. Qui-Gon then uses the lightsaber to melt the edges of the table to the steel doorframe, making the furniture a barricade. Before the smoke clears, the sounds and voices of the droids disappear, and new ones echo over to them. Precise, sharp steps. Rune Heiko leads the battle droids to the blocked exit door. The droids try to detach the table. It won't budge. Rune slams his fist into the table.
To the other door. Quickly!
The battle droids follow him. After the Jedi cut down the battle droids in the Queen's private chambers, the Alderaanians race into the room, with the guards forming a defense at the entrance. It is a cavernous chamber, rising to the high, vaulted ceiling. Obi-Wan puts the crying Queen on a sofa.
We need a med pack.
The handmaidens in flame-red robes rush to her and scream upon seeing the injury. Qui-Gon and Panika examine her. It is nasty. The blaster bolt impacted her right leg, penetrated inside and burst, blowing a burned hole in her leg.
By the core.
Handmaiden Dorm and Alana access the injury. They gather Breha up in her arms, hugging her gently. They are 2 of her beloved handmaidens, women who had been with her, old enough to be her sisters, serving her and serving Alderaan for many years.
It's not life-threatening, Your Majesty.
But she won't be able to walk for a while.
The handmaidens bring a first aid kit that contains limited utility diagnosis equipment and other essential medicines. They apply Bacta spray to the injury. Even in this state, the Queen manages to blurt out an order.
Captain Panika! Contact our representative at once!
Captain Panika races to the transmission generators. Palpatine represents Alderaan in the Senate of the Galactic Republic. If things had changed on Coruscant, if the Separatists decided to attack the Republic delegates, Palpatine would surely know the reason. The Queen is relieved when Senator Palpatine's kindly face appears as the hologram.
Your Majesty.
Senator Palpatine!
When those on the Council of Governors doubted the new Queen's abilities, he always backed her.
Have your negotiations started?
The negotiations never took place.
The battle droids ambushed us in the palace. All my delegates have been killed.
Palpatine's welcome changes to a frown. He is mystified.
How could that be true? I have assurances from the Chancellor the Separatists would end the blockade. It must be. Handiwork. Negotiate. Ambassadors. Nobody would.
Senator Palpatine!
The hologram sputters and fades away.
Check the transmission generator.
When Panika takes a look at the generator, he looks grave and stares up at the ceiling.
It's a signal disruption. They've knocked out all our communications.
They are jamming us.
This attack can only mean one thing. An invasion.
Queen Antilles' heart sinks. She seems as bewildered by his assertion as everyone else is. She doesn't want the Jedi to know that she is just as worried as they are. When the Queen looks worried, rumors get started, and people's faith is shaken.
They would not dare go that far.
She says, as much to convince herself as to contradict Qui-Gon. She hates the very idea of wars and fighting. They deny everything Alderaan stands for. Zala Typho, an elderly woman, is the head of the Royal Advisory Council.
If they invaded us, they would lose their seats in the Senate.
That's right, Antilles thinks. Punishment from the Senate could be severe. And Neimoidians are more interested in trade than war.
Surely, they wouldn't take such a risk.
She is barely able to keep her irritation in check. They are overreacting. They have to be. Breha Antilles says with renewed firmness.
We won't jump to conclusions. We must continue to rely on diplomacy.
Panika says in a tone of disbelief.
Diplomacy? They murdered the diplomats.
Antilles has no answers for him. Qui-Gon has sensed something. He turns to the window and gestures at the sky.
Look!
Civilians watch the invasion from the sky in terror as landing crafts and starfighters pass through the clouds. They cast extensive shadows on the city. The Alderaanian anti-aircraft guns fire, afflicting little to no damage to the invasion force. As they descend, the landing crafts crash into tall buildings. Debris falling, crushing people on the ground. Vulture starfighter droids and droid bombers begin attacking the strategic points in the city, evaporating the Alderaan defense systems. They are unprepared. Of course, they are unprepared. Alderaanians have not had war in their world for many lifetimes. The last war scarred their memories. They vowed then that peace would never die.
It's a full-blown invasion.
An alarm is raised from somewhere close. They can hear the sounds of battle droid and their merciless march into the palace. Blaster shots ring out not too far away as the royal guards and the battle droids engage in the firefight.
I'd say this mission is past the negotiation stage.
Your Majesty, you must prepare to defend yourselves.
But our security volunteers can't stand against a battle-hardened separatist army.
She knows Zala has a point. Why should they negotiate when the separatists have made it clear that they have only contempt for their laws and the laws of the Senate? They have many advantages from our generations of peace, but along with that comes a people unused to war and a small security force, well-trained, but no match for the droid army of the Separatist Alliance.
Why not visit the Gungans and send help?
The natives? Aren't the Gungans and the Alderaanians at war with each other?
Long time ago. It's an option worth considering.
Sio Bibble scoffs.
Having things like this option never works out. You don't call another enemy to fight for our war.
Our only hope is for the Senate to side with us, not the Gungans, Your Majesty.
Bibble gives a pleading look at the Queen. Hesitantly, the Queen nods.
I will not allow actions that could change our homogeneous society.
Then, Your Majesty, under the circumstances, I suggest you come to Coruscant with us.
Senator Palpatine will need your help.
In the cockpit of the cruiser, the captain and pilot look up and see a squadron of separatist vulture droids emerging in the sky. The despair fills their faces.
Captain.
The Alderaanian captain seated next to him looks up to find a barrage of laser fire from the fighters.
Raise shield.
The ship blows up a brutal and spectacular explosion alongside the crew. Through the thickness of the palace walls, they can hear an explosion rocking the room.
What's happening?
Qui-Gon closes his eyes, feeling the surroundings.
They've destroyed our ship.
Breha is motionless, defeated and hopeless on the sofa, detached from everything alone.
Do you have transport?
Not anymore. They must have destroyed all our ships in the palace.
There is an escape ship. Not here, but hidden elsewhere.
I saw their blockade. Getting past it is impossible, even if we were to get off the planet.
An escape attempt will be too dangerous.
That ship has been kept secret alongside Alpha Squadron for emergencies. With the starfighter escorts, we can try.
Captain Panika sprints across the chamber to the statue of a Vorn tiger and presses the two eyeballs at once. A portion of the wall slides open. People nearby squint as the dusty air and a swarm of spiders come out of a secret passage. Qui-Gon peers through the vapors, staring at the new entrance, square and open. It reveals a secret that leads to a dark tunnel. Panika steps into the secret passage and moves forward into the darkness.
This tunnel leads to the forest. It's been here all along since the creation of the royal palace.
It is clear this route has not been used for a century, as spider webs grace the entrance like decor and ornaments do with the others. It has yielded to the passage of time, but the structure still withstands. One by one, the separatist crafts land, dispatching various vehicles. The separatist armored assault tanks are squat, shovel-nosed vehicles with their main cannon mounted on a turret above and behind the cockpit and smaller blasters set low and to either side. They have the look of foraging beetles. The multi-troop transports that look like large boot-shaped vehicles with bulbous noses. The doors that form those noses gape open, racks are extended, and unfold thousands of sleek silvery shapes directly into combat. Blaster fire rings throughout the city. Creeping down the tunnel, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan pull out their weapons, the lightsaber beams serving as glow sticks to brighten the dark pathway. Handmaiden Dorm and Alana carry the Queen into the tunnel, followed by the rest of the group, each of them taking supplies and communication devices. Breha's leg accidentally hits the entrance.
Ouch.
I'm sorry, Your Majesty.
Alana shushes her colleague. The footsteps are echoing outside the chambers, and they sound closer every moment.
They are coming.
Seal the tunnel. Quick!
Panika and his men move the wall shut, seconds before Rune Heiko and his droids rush into the room to notice the sliding wall. Just as Rune Heiko scans the surroundings and approaches the statue of the Vorn Tiger, Droid Commander OOM-9 walks over to him to report.
Sir, the targets are not on this floor.
Rune then heads out of the room.
Surround the palace. Don't let anyone leave the building.
B1 series battle droids are unfolding on the main road of Alderaan and marching into the town. They herd up people and force them into camps. Many people resist, but the armies overpower them. People are confused, crying, shouting. A battle droid blasts an elderly man who dares to resist. The royal guards dive for cover as pieces of burning metal spread through the sky like fireworks, fanning high and wide from the wreckage. They show little resistance. Alderaanians are a peaceful people, and the separatist invasion comes as a surprise. The droid army is inside the city before any substantial defense can be mounted. Through the secret tunnel in the Alderaan Palace, Queen Breha Antilles and her companions have reached the end. The sunlight shines from the exit.
We've made it.
The Jedi in the front leave the tunnel first to sense the surroundings, looking from side to side, up to down, holding the lightsabers but not turning them on yet. They don't move with the same caution as the Alderaanians, but their confidence does not impair their sense of alertness. After a moment, they deactivate the lightsabers and send a signal to the group behind them.
It's safe. No one else is here.
The group of 40 runs toward the light, and Handmaiden Dorm and Alana are the last ones to come out of the tunnel, carrying a wounded Queen Breha. The lush, green high garden of Alderaan stands before them, and beyond the garden is the nearly invisible path to the forest, where not a single rose gold dome exists to be seen.
This is the garden used for secret meetings.
They know nothing of it for now.
There is love in this place. It is beautiful, like everything else on Alderaan, and just as isolated as they were promised. The great waterfalls of Alderaan sparkle. Lush grasses sprinkled with flowers of all colors. The flowers scent the air, and the music of the shining waterfalls echoes. Puffballs float by on the warm breeze, and puffy clouds drift across the shining blue sky above. Trees and plants surrounded the square in 1,000 shades of living green. Qui-Gon lets out a long sigh, barely releasing the pressure that is building up within him.
A little silver lining to appreciate.
You were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short.
To Breha, it is a place perfectly reflective of Alderaan. Despite the invasion, she can't help but appreciate it. She is not the only one to do it, the group cannot help but take a break and rest. As the handmaidens support her to the embankment, Breha turns away from the garden and gazes across a river, staring at the city. The separatist ships lay over the planet of Alderaan. Usually, Alderaan is bustling even at this time. People taking in the air, fruit sellers, and musicians. They are being lined up now, and the city is filled with tanks and battle droids. The separatist fighters fly above the city, bombing the Alderaanian positions. Buildings burning and smoldering. The droid army is occupying the city and putting an end to any lingering resistance. The speakers announce Newt Gunray's proclamation of the Separatist Alliance's seizure of power on Alderaan in the plaza.
The Separatist Alliance has taken a concerted operation this day to take over the system of Alderaan and to form a new government. We believe that the fate of Alderaanian people cannot be entrusted to Coruscant's corrupt clique.
The raucous blasts of loudspeakers on the tanks in the streets relay Gunray's speech. Everywhere she looks she sees burning homes, wrecked vehicles, and the unmistakable signs of defeat. Smoke from the battle chokes the air. Even at this distance, every time Breha draws in a breath, her lungs burn with the sharp ozone stench left behind by bombardments. Breha sees blood in the fountains. The city is on fire, having fallen under the invaders. The ambience of the city presses against her ears. They can hear the hum of tanks and the buzz of STAP fighters overhead. The sounds of an occupied city. And everywhere there are bodies. They'd been left where they'd fallen, their wounds and lifeless expressions making Breha blank out her thoughts, overrun by anguish and fury.
The battle was over before it had begun.
Newt Gunray is trying to take over Alderaan the way his corporation took over the separatist movement.
There is no logic to the separatists' actions.
The situation is not what it seems. My instincts tell me there is something else going on.
Hide! Hide!
The approaching engine noise of steps shakes them back into danger. The group disperses, and each person hides in bushes or under a tree before the steps fly past them.
We believe that the time has come for the Separatist Alliance to give direction to Alderaan, which has found dangerously strayed.
Captain, where is this transport ship you've talked about?
Getting there is the difficult part. It's stationed at the hideout outside Alderaan.
Outside Alderaan? Not just outside the capital city?
The whole region to go through. When the Republic ship descended, Qui-Gon had glanced at the geography of Alderaan. The city is located on a sheer cliff over the western Great Grass Plains, a vast floodplain with the occasional spreads of farmlands.
The only way to avoid the enemy's gaze is to move through the swamps.
It's going to be a long walk.
We will have to spend at least a few days if lucky.
Breha stares at the Separatist tanks and battle droids fill the streets and plazas of Alderaan in the distance. The battle droids confiscate weapons and move the prisoners, taken across the plaza past the Separatist machines of war. The steps hum overhead, shadows flitting off the walls of the buildings, metal shells gleaming as they dart away.
I doubt if we can last a day.
Qui-Gon looks at a defeated Breha. The determination the young queen had in the negotiating table to prove herself has evaporated. The sight is more than enough to break any man, and the fact that a 12-year-old girl held on until now is nothing to be surprised about. Alderaan had thrived and prospered during the great time of peace. Maintaining that peace is an obligation that has been passed down from ruler to ruler for generations. The rulers never let anything jeopardize that, for the consequences for their people would be disastrous. But Breha has failed. She can see the invaders now from the other side. Within her, frustration and sorrow battle with guilt. Is this her fault? Had she been naive? She tells herself that blame will only slow her down. And in the end, no matter what she could have done or didn't do, it doesn't matter. It is her fault. She is queen. Qui-Gon listens to the Alderaanians chatter. They are on the same wavelength as their queen. They know. They know how doomed their world is, and it terrifies them. Qui-Gon gets up, staring at the long path to the swamps, as if he already got over with it. Fear gets in the way of his job. He gets rid of it. The invasion is not going to stop if he gets dejected or not. The quickest way to defeat is to get bogged down in the beaten zone.
Then there's no time to rest. Time is of the essence.
It's easier said than done. He turns to the dreading Alderaanians. They are quiet, a silence coming out of fear. Even Obi-Wan is not too excited. The group is already exhausted just by thinking what their journey is going to be. Qui-Gon understands their defeatedness, and in a way he sympathizes with them. Just as Qui-Gon tries to cheer them up, the Queen's handmaiden Alana steps forward to exhort the group, waving her hand.
Everyone! Do you see the river before you? Hear the sound of the waves? If we were to stop here, the river will be covered with blood, and the waves with the cries of the people.
The mere handmaiden, although small in height, stands the tallest among the group that sat. She sees each and every one of her people with her eyes.
The Jedi Knights are in our fight. Up and forward!
Alana heads first into the deep forest, leaving Qui-Gon speechless, but intrigued. It is a salve of speech, like a doctor cheering a terminal patient, saying their condition is not too serious, but she is the only one to find hope. Although words of comfort can't make them excited for their journey, at least they dispose some fear, as one by one begins to rise. A handmaiden is brave enough to inject the Alderaanians with words of encouragement. Following Alana and Qui-Gon, the rest of the group continue heading down to the trail stifled by weeds, assailed by the smell of the trees. Outside, the battle droids line up on the square. The troops move to rigid attention with a momentous snap as Viceroy Newt Gunray, the Neimoidian leader of Separatist movement, walks down the large stairs. He wears his Trade Federation robe of office and inscrutable expression.
Ah, victory.
Footnote. One of the reasons why people criticize the droid army from the prequel trilogy being a joke is mostly due to how the Phantom Menace handled them. The movie introduces the droid army with the scenes of the Jedi effortlessly chopping them up to the point where 2 Jedi nearly got the leaders of the Trade Federation within the first 10 minutes. Compare this to how other 2 Star Wars trilogy introduced the foes. How should the audience be scared when the very first act of the movie portrays the Trade Federation as bumbling idiots? REDONE introduces the threat of the villains, the Separatists, with the battle droids gunning down the Republic and Alderaanian delegates inspired by the helicopter massacre scene from The Godfather, Part 3. Putting the invasion scene in the first few 5 minutes also echoes the introduction of the Empire in A New Hope when they seize the rebel ship. The invasion is way more impactful with our heroes in the midst of it. Speaking of the villains, you may notice that REDONE put these two stages of the invasion originally separated 10 minutes apart into one seamless invasion. There is no reason for the villains to land their forces on the other side of the planet as the movie depicted when they could have landed directly at the capital. By having the droid army landing on the city, this presents the invasion as a chaotic event. Without context, the droid occupation portrayed in the movie looked like a military parade than a massive invasion. No one screams, no fight, no urgency, no destruction, no one fleeing. This is an awful direction on Lucas' part. Compare this to the similar invasion scene in Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, which shows the massive invasion of the foreign force in the city is turbulent, messy, and certainly not peaceful. This shows how a competent visual storytelling can make a huge difference, and REDONE takes a cue from it. A twilight that is misty and seems perpetual lay in silver-gray layers over the green lushness of Alderaan. The 40 survivors continue walking along a narrow trail in the middle of the thick jungle mired with fog, pausing now and then to push their way through the undergrowth, swatting away the mosquitoes that cling on their necks. Every so often they hear the buzz of separatist steps overhead, but the vastness of the forest and the dense foliage protects them from being spotted. The group has spent all of its energy after walking through the mist and trees for what seems like days. They have encountered animals of all shapes and sizes. Flumpasets, mots, pico-picos, the names recall themselves to the Jedi Master from his preparation for this journey. Qui-Gon looks at the Royal Council members next to him, and all of them have blank expressions etched on their faces. 3 frightened Akopis scatter from their place of concealment, racing past the group, blowing wind against the Jedi, but Qui-Gon realizes the wind is not entirely created out of the fleeing animals. The Akopis' home, in the distance, shrouded by thick trees, is a large cave, nestled deep within the mountains. Panika turns his head and asks Breha, who is being carried on his back.
That seems like a good place to rest. Your Majesty?
Breha nods her head, soaked in sweat just like Panika. Her white makeup is melting. Panika puts his queen down, trying to ignore his muscles aching. He moves toward the cave with his guards to set up the equipment. The Jedi, Bail Organa, and the handmaidens gather around Breha, sitting down to gain some strength before heading to the cave. Breha wipes sweat from her forehead. Handmaiden Alana opens a canteen for her.
I'm sure the Chancellor will plead Alderaan's case before the Senate.
The Senate will not put up with this invasion for much longer.
Qui-Gon shakes his head.
The Senate will forge a treaty with the Separatists and legitimize their occupation.
In the face of this completely unlawful action?
Then why has nothing been done in the Senate to restrain the Trade Federation? Everyone knows they support the Separatists.
Qui-Gon notices it is once again the young handmaiden who gave a short morale-boosting speech in the garden.
It would be too dangerous for the economy, we were told. Some in the Senate even argued that reasonable business people running each star sector could be a desirable solution to the current political problems.
Do those money grubbers control everything? This is a betrayal of the very meaning of the Republic.
They slump with downcast eyes, as if an inevitable doom has hit them. A large portion of the Senate is owned by guilds and conglomerates that have no care for the well-being of the galaxy. The spirit of the Galactic Republic is being smothered in front of their eyes.
The Chancellor is making progress. We can't be too negative about it.
Despite being younger, Obi-Wan has always been an institutionalist.
We are negative because it is negative. To fix something you need to acknowledge there is a fundamental fault.
Which an institutionalist would prefer not to do. One must be capable of envisioning better institutions.
We must keep our faith in the Republic. We will not forsake all we have honored and worked for.
Qui-Gon wishes to be like Obi-Wan and Bail Organa, but he can't help but feel stuck on the path to a depressing future where no one but the likes of the Trade Federation are allowed to have power.
Even if the Senate does something, that will take time. Is there a more immediate option for us?
She looks at her people. They stay silent, though she is sure they know the answer. An hour has passed. Although the cave is cool, it is not exactly the comfortable place to stay, as the odors of rot flows out in the air, and water drips from the ceiling. It is as if the place was frozen since its creation. Putting her pale makeup again, Queen Breha Antilles staggers out of the cave with the help of Allana. Her right leg has not finished healing, but there is no more pain after the deep care from her handmaidens. The wind whips at her cloak, but she hardly feels it. Breha and Allana leave 2 other handmaidens Urti and Raid behind and head into the gathering wind. The queen's guards and handmaidens are distracted away as they continue setting up the camp in the cave. Panika and Dorm set up a secure radio transmitter. People are in the heated discussion of what to do the next morning.
Still no message from Senator Palpatine.
The off-world communication is still jammed.
The Senate is unaware of the Chancellor's move.
Only a few know about our presence here.
We're isolated until we leave Alderaan or the Chancellor sends another ambassador.
Either way, we will be stuck in the jungle for a long time.
Breha is sick of all those talks. To alleviate her mind, she sits together with handmaiden Allana on a decaying trunk outside the cave and stares across the forest, where the winds carry the sense of foliage growing and rotting.
It's going to be harder to keep the group under control.
Everyone feels anxiety.
As certainly as she does, Breha thinks. In order to conquer their fear, the royal guards in the cave appear to have convinced themselves that they are already dead.
So do I. I was not elected queen to watch my people suffer and die.
As the sun sets, the forest becomes darker, and their surroundings become menacing. They can hear the distant howling of the animals they cannot see beyond dying vegetation. It is a world that they both love. They would die before they see their world destroyed.
Alderaan is a jewel. From deep space, it looks like an emerald. I have no doubt it will heal itself, Your Majesty.
But only after countless people hurt. How do we heal it right now as citizens of this accursed republic?
Allana has no answer. The future is bleak. Protests do not work, the politicians funded by the separatists laugh at them, and Alderaan is crumbling. There is only death ahead of them. So she stops thinking about it and gets up.
There will be a light at the end of the tunnel when we get to Coruscant. I'm sure of it. Until then, you need to rest, Your Majesty.
As Breha turns to stagger back to the cave, she hears a sound. She has been hearing the thrums of the separatist patrol somewhere in the distance, but this one is closer. She thinks she has imagined it from the air, but it is real.
Do you see that?
Something is obviously amiss. Looking at the swishing of grass, Breha and Allana notice a blur of a shadowy figure, parting branches and cracking rotten wood. It looks too small to be a battle droid. Just as the queen leans forward into the mist, she instinctively puts pressure on her right leg that has not finished healing. Before the pain registers, the leg gives way, and she slips, finding herself falling forward.
Breha!
Allana tries to pull her, but she also stumbles and rolls down the slope until they both fall into the thick flora, and then blackness.
Your Majesty!
The handmaiden's voice awakens the queen. With a grunt, Breha takes a short breath and tries to get up, but winces in a catalogue of pain. For the time being, she keeps her legs still. She brushes dirt covering her clothes, but she can't shake off the dirty water that soaked them.
I can't get up.
Allana notices there are thin mists rising from the ground, vapors she knows would become thicker, more dense, making it difficult for her people to find them. The mists would trap this place soon.
I will carry you. Bring your arm behind my neck.
Then she hears it, a quiet buzzing in the distance, a tentative rustling. The forest reverberates with the sound of the Stap engine. Putting Breha back on the ground, Allana draws her blaster pistol. Shivering, Allana crawls, using her hand to clear the bushes. In the distance, there is a creature who looks like a cross between many species no more than 4 feet tall, sprinting through the heart of a merciless jungle. He runs upright on 2 legs like a human. He has a mouth shaped like a bill, and a frog's big eyes rising out of his head. He looks like nothing so much as the stuffed baby doll she remembers playing with as a child. In fact, when she first sees the creature, she thinks it is merely a dream, a childhood memory rising out of her addled brain. But this isn't a dream. It is a Gungan child, one of those creatures that live on this planet. She remembers the ones her aides dismissed with a wave of his hand. Nor is he exclusively cute, for as Breha focuses further, she can see a knife strapped to his waist. It is all he wears, save for a thin leather mantle only covering his body and a small bag he holds.
That must be
Gungan.
There is no time for them to focus on the Gungan's appearance. From the corner of her eye a stab bursts from the mist, bearing down on the fleeing Gungan. Wheeling its gun platform to attack, the droid opens with laser cannons on the Gungan. The Gungan screams as he dodges the brilliant bolts of light, but the chase will eventually last.
That's just a little kid.
Allana looks away. Whatever happens to the Gungan is none of their business.
Let's go, Your Majesty, before more droids show up.
Breha can do as her handmaiden said, but instinctively, she raises her blaster pistol, taking aim, and fires. She misses, her blaster bolt flies past the battle droid pilot.
What are you doing?
The droid then sets for its new prey and accelerates the vehicle toward Breha and Allana.
Get down!
Allana helps Breha fling down in the mud just before the Stap opens fire with laser cannons from its gun platforms once again. The laser fire pierces the position where Breha was and blows up a tree into pieces. Allana gets up as the Stap flies past above her. The crying Gungan is heading straight for their position, rubbery face contorting in shock and desperation. The Gungan then throws itself on the handmaiden, hugging her ecstatically and grabbing onto clothing.
Let me go!
Allana snaps, fighting to break free of the creature that clings to her, dragging it sideways in a futile effort to escape. The Stap circles around in a big arc to fly back toward the two Alderaanians and the Gungan afar, the high-pitched buzz screeching once again. Allana pushes the creature into the shallow water and sprawls on top of him. The handmaiden and the queen shoot at the Stap once, twice, thrice. They all miss. The Stap is zooming, gearing its weapon. She expects the Stap to end her life at any second. Another shot at the last second. Miraculously, Allana's blaster bolt hits the droid's head. The pilot falls off, and the Stap falls into the ground, exploding in shards of hot metal. Quickly the forest is quiet once more, the noise and light swallow up as if they had never been. Allana and Breha lay still where they are, panting softly, waiting for an attack. None comes. Wiping her muddied brow, Allana takes a deep, welcome breath.
Are you fine?
I'm fine. More than fine.
The Gungan rises, mud stuck to his flat-billed face. He gives a quick glance after the wreckage, then they watch each other, unmoving.
Back off!
Allana holds her blaster against the Gungan. The Gungan freezes, his ears twitch. He looks up in terror as she looms over him. He rapidly stumbles backward, trips, and falls. Breha grabs Allana's wrist, twists it slightly, and swings her around to face her.
You're scaring him.
The Gungan seems puzzled by Breha, uncertain of what she intends. Breha tries to put reassurance into her voice.
Hey, come here.
Of course, he has no idea what the words mean, but she knows the more she talks, the more at ease it would put the little creature. It's so strange that they share a world. Although they share a planet, the Alderaanians and Gungans do not mix. Most Alderaanians think the Gungan species is beneath them. So it interests her to be face-to-face with one. Or should she say face-to-snout? Allana still holds her blaster, lowered but firmly gripping it.
Your Majesty, we should get out of here now.
The little Gungan chitters at her and sniffs the air. He blinks a few times, but he only gives her a mystified look.
You are a little Gungan, aren't you? I'm not gonna hurt you.
The Gungan steps back, hesitating. She takes Allana's blaster pistol and puts it on the ground to mull over the situation.
I promise we won't be a trouble.
The Gungan tilts his head in an attitude of keen attention, looking at the blaster, then takes a cautious step forward. Like a skittish frog, he takes this as a safe sign. He appraises the scene with his shiny eyes, nods, and shakes his head. He sits down beside her and lets out a little sympathetic Gungan sigh. Breha scratches the small creature's head between the ears. He purrs like a kitten. He likes this Alderaanian girl. His throat works and his billed mouth opens and closes like a fish's.
Oh, Mui, I thought Mesa gonna die. You saved me.
Breha stares with a fixation at the Gungan, and then at Allana.
The Gungans can talk basic?
They do, and they
Mesa kal jaja tapals.
Sound like that.
Jar Jar gives his satchel to Breha.
How did you end up here?
My no. Mesa day staten pity okide with the brisky evening mansion. Then boom. Mechanics every which way, they flyin, they scootin'. Get 10 berry scared and get 10 shot, and pow, Mesa here. Mesa gets 10 berry scared.
While the queen holds back her laughter, Alana opens the Gungan's bag for her. Rather than anything sinister, the handmaiden only finds berries and wild plants inside. He has been wading through the forest in search of an evening meal. Like most Gungans, they prefer to catch their food fresh.
Be use friend me.
He pops one of the plants into his own mouth, just to show her it isn't poisonous. Unfreezing, Alana takes the bag back to the Gungan and responds unenthusiastically.
Thanks, Jar Jar, but that won't be necessary.
Oh, but it is. Tis demanded by the gods, it is. Tis life debt.
She pauses, thinking of his offer of friendship. She can't help it. She likes him.
Maybe you can help us. We're stuck here.
Your Majesty.
Trouble is, the bad droids are going to find us before we can find our way out.
The most grand safest place is in Atoganga. Tis where I grew. Tis a hidden city.
City?
A hint of surprise in her soft voice.
A city of Gungans, I believe.
The little Gungan straightens, and a fierce pride brightens his eyes.
Aha. Lata Gungans. They come from all over. That's why no swamp beings give you some trouble.
The Gungan's words cut through them like a knife. She studies him with new interest, her detached gaze replaced by something more intense, as if she is turning an unexpected thought over in her mind.
Can you take us there?
Please, Your Majesty, Gunga is the home of barbarians.
They do have home. We don't.
Alderaan is burning, and the only home left for her is the cave. She can't stand staying there and breathing any more of the rotten air. The royal guards are stationed at the entrance of the cave. Jar Jar is eating the bread hole the guards have given to him. That night in the cave, the Royal Advisory Council has opened a makeshift conference. They put a small altar of Shariah, a winged, female god brandishing a crescent moon-shaped symbol, behind Queen Breha Antilles, flanked by lamps to brighten the cave. The members of the council sit facing each other on either side in lines before the queen, who is sat and backed by the handmaidens standing behind. The Jedi and Captain Panika stand upright in front of Breha to join the storm of argument. Not many are happy with the queen's idea to link up with the foolish-looking Gungans. Most Alderaanians don't like Gungans any more than Gungans like them.
Absolutely not. You cannot risk Her Majesty's life like this.
We need cooperation with the Gungans in this fight.
The members of the Royal Council look up in a quiet disbelief. People all start talking and arguing.
You don't know much about our world, Master Jedi.
Gungans are primitive species.
They are not a question. They are a problem.
Qui-Gon shakes his head. He figured. Alderaan is a highly humanocentric society, 95% humans. It doesn't give citizenship to other species.
Prejudice is not a badge of honor.
The official Alderaanian position is that we don't deal with lowly beings.
That's an ancient principle. We live in the present, not the time we'd like to live in.
And they have the jungle on their side, and they never liked Offworlders.
For them, we were the Offworlders. Considering our long history with them, it wouldn't be surprising if they've already joined the Separatists.
We should not make judgments without meeting them.
Meet them? They are dangerous creatures.
Just as everyone is stressing over the possibility worse than the Gungans in action, a long, sticky tongue snakes toward the serving bowl in front of Breha. Everyone in the meeting turns their heads to find a morsel of food gets plucked out and drawn into Jar Jar's mouth. Jar Jar swallows it in satisfaction.
Mesa sorry. Mesa not mean to scare yous.
Among everyone who frowns, only the queen closest to his age smiles.
That's all right. Come over here. You can eat all you want.
Panika gives a disapproving look as Jar Jar sits on the queen's lap and begins devouring another plum on the table.
May I remind you, Master Jedi, we have a more pressing mission. We are short of time.
Talk is getting them nowhere. Qui-Gon brings up one hand in a casual motion and then speaks in an odd tone.
Time spent there may help us later. It will not jeopardize the mission.
Sio Bibble stands to his feet and looks into Queen Antilles' eyes.
Time spent there may help us later. It will not jeopardize the mission.
Behind the Queen, handmaiden Alana looks at him in surprise, and then stares at Qui-Gon Jinn. She takes note of how the Jedi is bringing up one hand in a casual motion, passing it smoothly.
Your Majesty will not be put in danger.
Qui-Gon gestures again, reaching out.
Your Majesty will not be put in danger.
Alana kneels and leans to Breha Antilles to whisper to her ear.
We must make contact with the Gungans.
We must make contact with the Gungans.
Amused rather than offended, the Queen puts Jar Jar to the ground and gets up to her feet with the help of Alana and Dorm.
Master Qui-Gon, I am convinced. I will not require his farther persuasion.
It was worth a try, anyhow. Qui-Gon lowers his hand, and at instant Bibble snaps out of it.
Huh.
Primitive or not, we can no longer turn a blind eye to their help.
The Queen glances at Jar Jar, who is smacking his lips after a good meal.
We need to meet his people.
The faces of the council members look disturbed. Alana experiences a second of dread. She wonders if the Jedi Master used a quick invocation of his mind power against Breha.
But Your Majesty, what if it's a trap to capture you?
And get word to the Separatists?
You must stay. Please, reconsider.
No Alderaanian has visited a Gungan city for a generation. If any harm befalls you, it's all over.
The Queen lowers her head, her eyes grimacing. Standing beside Dorm, Alana bows and steps forward, pressing close to Breha.
If I may, Your Majesty, I wish to go in your behalf.
The Queen of Alderaan looks straight into her. Breha nods, responding to her suggestion. She then leans to Jar Jar.
Jar Jar, guide the Jedi and my handmaiden to your city. Help them to represent my position before your leaders. We are in your hands.
Mesa going home.
Qui-Gon gives Alana a curious look. He sees strength in her eyes. Although she drapes herself in the handmaiden's garment, she isn't here to fetch the Queen glasses of nectar. In a rush, the Jedi and the Queen's handmaiden follow the little Gungan into the night mist with nothing but goodwill to convince his people to join their crusade. Jar Jar's long ears flap with the movement.
This way, this way. Hurry quick.
Jar Jar and Obi-Wan race through the vapors, while Qui-Gon is at back, often pausing and scanning the environments through the Force. The trees and green bushes rise about them. Little moonlight breaks the high barriers of branches and twisted vines above, creating a pale, milky hue in the fog. Outfitted with a more casual and darker battle dress, Alana gets closer to Qui-Gon. Her voice sounds as if her lungs are on fire.
Master Qui-Gon, you seem very willing to manipulate our court with your Jedi powers.
You seem very attentive.
Never forget that your role is only to help and protect us. We are treading on dangerous ground.
If Alderaan intends to fight a war, all of its inhabitants must become involved.
If that is what she intends, they will never be swayed.
The Queen wishes it. Don't make me go back and tell her you refuse.
Alana shakes her head in disapproval. The three emerge from a deep stand of swamp grass and thick rushes at the edge of a lake so murky that it is impossible to see anything in the reflection in the night.
How much farther?
The Gungan child points at the lake.
Wisa going underwater okide.
The Jedi look at each other, then extract small containers from their clothing, releasing portable breathing devices the size of the palms of their hands. Jar Jar seems distraught.
"'Tis embarrassing, but my afraid Yusa humans been forbidden."
Forbidden?
Jar Jar looks as if he wishes he can disappear into the swamp completely.
"My forgotten. Mesa Papa would be scold me. Speak mean things to me if Yusa go in there. You's not gonna get warm welcome."
Don't worry. This hasn't been our day for warm welcomes.
The Gungan shrugs, as if to disclaim all responsibility for what would follow, turns back to the lake, performs a wild double somersault, and disappears into the gloom.
Don't say he didn't warn you.
Qui-Gon says as he fits the device between his teeth.
Understandable. Stay here. His home may be too frightening for your type.
Her dark eyes find Qui-Gon's. Disdainfully, she takes out her own breathing device from her satchel.
Master Jedi, I'm trained enough to take care of myself anywhere alone.
Well trained for handmaiden, aren't you?
Alana realizes she talked too much. She fits the device between her teeth fast and wades after the Jedi, and then they're gone into the cloudy swamp. Down they swim into murky depths, trusting Jar Jar to guide their way. Long limbs extended, Jar Jar is at home in the water more than on the lands. The last of the moonlight from the sky fades behind them in a wash of murkiness, and the waters close around them in a dark cloud. In the distance, a new light brightens their path, and the city Jar Jar has told them about comes forth. It is a city of hundreds of glowing bubbles. Oto Gunga is built with a mass of hydrostatic bubbles that link to each other like a cluster of balloons, anchored to a massive underwater cliff deep. The buildings remind them of fish eggs, linked together in a network. As Qui-Gon wonders where the airlock is, Jar Jar approaches one of the special portals in the colossal bubbles, and like magic, he swims through the permeable membrane, which seals behind him. Stunned, the Jedi and the handmaiden follow, entering through the force field. The humans have to push the membrane with their hands to get into the city, and soon the bubble accepts their bodies as if it is eating them. The portal keeps the water out, but lets solid objects through. They fall to the floor, their clothes wet and dripping. There is air inside the city, just like the surface. Although the Gungans can survive both on land and underwater, they chose to build their city under the lake to avoid contact with the Alderaanians.
Oto Gunga. We call it the city for all Gungans.
Taking off the breathers, the Jedi look around. Oto Gunga is a dense cluster of bubbles in the central district, radiating out from between walkways and plazas. Qui-Gon glances at Alana, whose mouth is wide open.
Primitive?
Alana is taken aback. She was taught to think of Gungans as savages. This is the first Gungan city she has seen up close, and it is clearly not what she had expected. In some aspects, they are technologically superior. The Gungans catch sight of the strange visitors and flee, and a squad of armored Gungan guards ride two-legged Kadus into the square, armed with the long, lethal electropoles and motioning back the civilians as they charge toward the visitors. They are adult males, much taller and larger than Jar Jar and the humans. Jar Jar greets the leader of the squad.
Hey de ho, Papa. Mesa back.
Jar Jar's father jumps off the mount and runs to his son.
Not again, Jaja.
The Gungan father embraces his son. Irritated, he pulls Jar Jar's long ear.
Where haven't you been?
Mesa just,
The Gungan picks his child up and backs away with caution.
You're in big trouble this time. Bring on geese and humans.
The rest of the guards remain on their mounts and point their weapons at the dripping human trio. Warily, the Gungan squad leader circles, poking the pointed javelin at the humans, more fearful than aggressive. Alana puts her hand on the holster.
Yusa shouldn't be here.
We are not the separatists.
We know Yusa not the separatists. Yusa luran the machinics. Never come here again.
Qui-Gon advances, and the Gungans point their poles defensively in his direction. He bows, and Obi-Wan follows.
We are the Jedi Knights, sent by the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic. The Republic needs your help.
Roose Tarple stiffens, and the other Gungans begin chatting each other. Jar Jar, carried on his father's shoulder, taps on his armor.
Tessa saved Mesa from the mechanics.
For all his readiness, the squad leader hasn't expected the Jedi to come to his city.
You's going to boss nas. See what he say.
Alana looks at the Jedi concerned. The Gungan guards have escorted the humans to the prestigious board room to explain their presence in Oto Gunga. The high board room is a prestigious bubble chamber, where the walls are transparent, and a long circular judge's bench filled with the Gungan officials dominates. The primary membership of the High Council is comprised of reps, who were elected to work with the boss to determine policies and maintain order. The squad leader who greeted the humans, General Roose Tarples, is also present in the council, standing next to his son Jar Jar. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Alana stand facing Boss Nass, who sits on a bench higher than the others. Dressed in ornate robes befitting his status as the head of the Gungan High Council, Boss Ruger Nass is such pudgy and heavily built, he looks unlike any other Gungan in the room. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have been telling what had brought them to Oto Gunga, explaining the situation surrounding the Queen's escape from Alderaan.
The army of battle droids has already occupied Alderaan. We must join forces together.
The boss makes loud ticking noises, his arms crossed and an unimpressed demeanor. The Gungan council that should have been full of warmth is filled with iciness.
"'Tis a difficult task Yusa Queen set for Yusan. Long have Wisa been at war. Much bitterness between Yusan."
General Tarpals walks round, addressing the council.
This is not our problem, townfolk. Wisa have problems of our own.
The members of the council nod in agreement, muttering their verbal approval of his opinion. Not a good start.
Wisa wish no naten in Yusa things.
Wisa no like the Alderaanians, than they no like the Gungans.
A long time ago, the Gungans had been driven from their city on the field by the Alderaanian forces. They eventually found their home in the wild jungle, and eventually underwater, but the animosity toward the settlers still remains. Obi-Wan stands his ground, unwilling to concede.
You and Alderaanians are connected, and all of us form a symbiont circle with the Republic. What happens to one will affect the other. You must understand this.
Boss Nass closes his eyes.
"The Republic only cares about the citizens on Alderaan's lands, but has it ever cared about the denizens of Alderaan's seas? Until you understand that, there will be no friendship between you."
The Republic did not turn when humans invaded this planet. Humans bust up our homes. They drive us all out to the swamps.
The handmaiden bursts in frustration, expressing her bitterness. She refuses to abide by insults toward her people.
Only in response of your aggression.
But why do you suspect such lies?
Not lies, truth.
The Gungan reps jump to their feet to back General Tarpals. They growl, their scathing faces, the shaking fists, and the fingers point toward Allana.
Wisa Gungans, live in peace, until Yusa come into this planet.
Haven't Yusa caused Yusan enough trouble?
Yusa invade us too.
Qui-Gon sighs and grabs Allana's arm. He sees the glint of fury in her eyes.
"Leave the talking to us."
Boss Nass gestures to the fellow Gungans to sit. He makes peculiar noises.
"Long time no have nothing to do with each other. This not gonna change because of mechanics."
Once those droids take control of the surface, they will take control of you.
Roose Tarpals dismisses him with a hand wave.
So be it. Dessa might treat on us more good.
Yusa go tell Yusa Queen that Wisa can't help Yusa fight.
She's a only queen because her ancestors beat Tap our son. Be gone.
Qui-Gon closes his eyes in sorrow. As Allana said, it is to be expected. Allana whispers to Qui-Gon, mimicking the hand gesture he did in the cave.
Master Jedi, use your mind power.
Before Qui-Gon passes his hand in front of Boss Nass's eyes in a quick invocation of Jedi mind power, Jar Jar pulls his father's sleeve.
But Papa, there's a Queen 7 Mesa life on the surface. Wisa owe them for that. There's a claim a life debt on Mesa.
The members of the council look at the general's son in astonishment. The Gungan custom demands if one's life is saved by another, the saved one or their family is obligated to do something in return. Of all humans, Jar Jar owes his to Breha Antilles.
Jar Jar, Yusa having a life debt with the Alderaanian Queen.
Aha, and to Hasa too.
Jar Jar nods, head and ears hanging. His sheepish grin is counterpointed by his father's embarrassed frown. Boss Nass looks entertained, however, as a slow laugh rumbles out of him.
Your gods demand he satisfy that debt.
At least, speed us on our way. We could use transport.
Boss Nass stares at him. Qui-Gon holds his gaze, preparing to gesture, but he does not need to do it. The Gungan custom does his job for them.
Wisa give Yusa una bongo. General Tarpals.
Yes, boss.
General Tarpals will be guiding Yusa way. Use go now. Never come to this Tikushi again.
Qui-Gon steps back and bows.
Thank you for your help. We go in peace.
Humiliated, General Tarpals turns away and walks toward the exit with his son.
Follow Mesa. Mesa gonna show you the ship.
The humans follow Tarpals and his son through the buildings of the city, down several connecting passages. The structure and building materials of Oto Gunga were grown from the natural plasma of Alderaan and bubble wort extract that were mined in the depths of Alderaan's oceans, creating the massive city housing countless residents.
Mesa convinced Boss Nass to give Yusa a maxi big bongo.
His father does not share the same sense of exuberance. He turns to the Jedi.
Umph. You're lucky. You get 10 more than you should get.
Good thing we are getting a starship. We can leave Alderaan now.
You're overestimating the Gungans. They never built any spacefaring vessels.
That is why the spacefaring civilizations look down the Gungans as primitives.
Then what's a bongo?
These are bongos.
Jar Jar's voice prompts them and look at the direction of where he is pointing. They halt and gasp in realization that they have entered a massive bubble dock full of the Gungan submarines and crafts. Even Alana has no words to describe how in awe she is. The Gungans lack much in the way of traditional technology, but they have developed an advanced, albeit unique science of their own. They have learned to genetically engineer buildings, weapons, and vehicles. Their natural predilection toward water grants the Gungans exceptional shipbuilding. While they fled from the lands, they built an extraordinary underwater civilization prepared to defend themselves against any incursions.
No vehicles are exactly alike. How did they learn to build submarines like these?
Not built. Each boat is grown from coral.
Rather than assembling the ships, they grow them and adorn with artistic flourishes and organic lines, giving their ships a fluid, non-rectilinear look. Using techniques kept secret by the Gungans, each one is unique, because of being built individually around a coral-like skeleton. They are based on the creatures found underwater, thus many of them resemble mantras or other such creatures. Their capacities range from 1 to many occupants.
Quit standing around. We better get aboard soon.
The Jedi and Alana begin following him again, but they continue gazing at every ship, savoring the moment. The whole group is waiting at the bank of the lake, impassive in the eerie silence. There is no sound of the patrols, animals, insects, but the waves on the lake. It is as if everything in the swamps has been stilled. Everyone says nothing, remains frozen, barely breathing. Nobody needs to say what they are thinking because they all know what they are thinking. Eventually, Sio Bibble is the first one in a long time to say out loud what everyone suspects.
Those barbarians must have got to them.
His statement prompts the rest to give up in despair. The terrifying imagination blossoms in everyone's mind. Zala Typho is the second one to remark.
We must flee now, Your Majesty, before it's too late.
The Queen does not respond. She still sits on the shore, her gaze fixated on every small wave on the lake, fidgeting with her amulet she wears around her neck. Panika gets up, gesturing to his men. The royal guards begin mumbling and chatting, ready to head back to the cave. Breha Antilles clenches her amulet. She stretches out her hand toward Panika.
Wait.
Panika turns his gaze back to the swamp and finds a faint light submerged below the surface, and it becomes clear it is emerging from the depths. Slowly, a Gungan submarine rises out of the water, gigantic enough to almost reach from one end of the shore to the next. Water rushes, swirling foam, toward the Alderaanians, who close their eyes and back away, some stumbling to the ground, as the high waves crash against the shore. The submarine's lights illuminate the forest, causing large shadows to appear. It is a wedge-shaped vessel with 2 bubble-like cockpits, driven by 2 propellers. This distinctive hull, combined with the long, electromotive tentacles that flowed from the back of the vehicle and spun for propulsion, gives the bongo an appearance that resembles that of an exotic squid. The submarine's entrance shield opens, revealing Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Alana. Breha Antilles stares at them. Wide-eyed in wonder, she can only smile.
I think I.
My sentiments exactly.
That moment lasts short. A noise, the sound of something dashing through the air. It is the engine of the Stap whistling with speed.
Get on board quickly!
Come on, move!
Dorm carries Breha on her back. Panika barks orders, and everyone moves fast. The Queen gets aboard first, and the Royal Advisory Council second, and the rest. Feet splash the swamp water. Run, run, run. The patrol sound shafts the air, echoing and whizzing. Above, a Stap spotlight is visible. Panika is the last one to hurry into the transport as he rolls and slides into the entrance just before the shield shuts. Obi-Wan faces the direction of the cockpit.
Dive!
The submarine goes underwater. The swamp swirls around it in whirlpools as the Gungan boat sinks like a huge metallic fish. The Staps scream their engines to sweep the lake and find nothing. Footnote: REDONE maintains the Naboo forest and Gungan city sequences from the movie, but the new story repurposes them by framing them as an escape from the city rather than infiltration. Having the Jedi escorting the Queen and her group adds urgency and flesh out the elements that were only implied in the movie. We get to see more of the characters struggling, expressing what they think, arguing each other, and their view on the Gungan civilization. The Queen is in despair about the invasion of her planet, and in REDONE, we get to see her suffering rather than just being skipped, alongside the full consequences of the droid occupation. In that process, we get the characterizations for each one regarding the situations and the Gungans. This makes the characters work as one group, making the audience care about not just Alderaan, but the Alderaanians. The Gungans got the most glow up in REDONE. Jar Jar is changed into a Gungan child, so his clumsy childlike attitude actually fits. He is now the son of General Roose Tarpals, who inherited Boss Nass' hostility toward the humans. Boss Nass, on the other hand, is more of a wiser leader in this story, who tells the Gungan side of the history. As opposed to the Gungans just saying they don't like humans because they think they are arrogant, we are shown the hostility between the two sides by having Alana accompany the Jedi, and all this serves for a character arc from someone who is prejudiced to charitable. The movie could have spent some time emphasizing the magnificence of the Gungan city and technology. Oto Gunga, for 1999, is an amazing sight and still aesthetically creative, but the movie skips away with the characters barely reacting to the surroundings. The way they act, they might well be in an office room. It is a stark contrast to the Lord of the Rings movies where the movie puts the audience in the perspective of the characters and showing each location. With REDONE, I aim to emulate Spielberg's magic, ensuring the film always captures the characters' awestruck reactions to the extraordinary events. The Gungan submarine propels itself deeper into the waters of Alderaan. There are underwater passageways in the coral tunnels, and if one is to locate the right one, you can cut travel time considerably. The bridge work reveals in the glow of the bongo's lights. All about, fish swim in schools through the craggy rock. The cockpit occupies the nose compartment, where General Roose Tarpals sits hunched over the controls of the bongo, taking the bongo ahead at a slow, steady speed. Jar Jar is positioned next to him, who flips on the lights as darkness closes, and the broad yellow beams reveal vast stretches of coral weaving. Qui-Gon and Alana stand in the shadows behind them, silent and watchful.
Bad bombing. User set 10 Uzon up for bad fall. Going to user destination is bad danger for Uzon. Mechanics no come down here. They not even know Gungans exist.
But Papa, user teaching Mesa to repay kindness. Mesa would rather heaven Mesa ears pull and off than disobey the gods.
May the gods be kind enough to forgive Yusa for owing a life debt to the humans.
Alana crosses her arms with irritation.
They sure are pathetic life forms.
They seem that way now perhaps. That may change with time.
Panika's boots sound footsteps from behind.
Master Jedi, Her Majesty needs to see you.
The Jedi, Prince Organa, and the Royal Advisory Council are summoned to the passenger room in the bongo. Qui-Gon expected that he is here to bring the Queen up to date, but when she looks at her, Breha's face shows a boundless grief. Breha has to stop and ask herself what is best for Alderaan. Her capture could hurt her people. If they know she's escaped, it can bring them hope. And she can work to free them.
We have decided. It's time to follow through with the contingency plan.
Plan?
Handmaiden Alana understands what they are discussing. She steps forward, and Breha turns to her to reveal their biggest secret.
I apologize for misleading you. This is not my handmaiden Alana. This is my older cousin, Princess Padme Amidala.
The members of the Royal Council are frowning, not understanding any of what is happening, but Qui-Gon gives a knowing smile.
Volunteered into service, should any danger arise, she was prepared to devote her life for my protection. And she will be my regent if any harm comes to me.
Your Highness.
There is one more task I must give to her. She will be acting as my decoy, my body double.
She is exactly her height and has brown eyes, like Queen Breha. She's the perfect ghost. Already volunteered in public service after her younger cousin's coronation, Princess Padme Amidala was a perfect candidate. Although 4 years older, she bears a striking likeness to Breha Antilles. Approached by the Royal Security Force Intelligence Division, she was then chosen for her resemblance, courage and intelligence and trained to be the Queen's decoy and temporary regent if a situation demands. Padme expected to take her place from time to time, such as traveling during a miners' strike, but when the Separatists began a blockade out of the blue, her role became critical to the survival of Alderaan. Breha Antilles discussed security with Panika and Padme about an invasion as one of the possible scenarios. Breha argued with them. One of her duties as queen is to accept any danger that might arise from her position. After all, Alderaan had been at peace for some time. What danger could possibly threaten the queen? Now, here it is, a larger threat than she could ever have imagined. Breha keeps a clear head. Breha Antilles slips off the amulet she always wears around her neck. Her parents gave it to her. It's a stone her father found on her land. Her mother fashioned the clasp. The amulet means everything to her. All the love and protection her parents gave to her is concentrated on that smooth stone. Breha hands it to her cousin.
Padme, you have done a magnificent job up to this point, but now I have to ask of you something I have no right to ask. Posing as queen will put you in grave danger.
Her cousin doesn't flinch. She is prepared to live in her world, so the queen can live in another. She would give her life for the mission.
I am ready for whatever comes, my queen.
Not your queen.
She taps herself on her chest.
Alana.
Yes, Alana.
They exchange sad smiles. Breha prays it will protect her. She will wear it again when Alderaan is free. The bongo angles toward the cave entrance and a series of overhangs, and its external directional lights reflect off rock walls and jagged outcroppings. A nightmarish color-claw fish squints and retreats to a tunnel that serves as the creature's lair, its spines, scales, and crooked clawed forelegs raised defensively. The aqua monster opens its jaws, revealing its teeth to be the size of buildings, and begins a pursuit of the bongo. But the color-claw fish, still in pursuit, does not veer aside quickly enough and flies right into the larger hunter's maw. The jaws come down, engulfing it. The bongo flies past the bits of the color-claw fish emerging through the Sando aqua monster's grinding teeth, only to be sucked quickly into the maw.
There's always a bigger fish.
The handmaidens help Queen Breha remove her makeup and slip into the simpler dress of the handmaiden. Padme puts on the queen's garment after painting her face white and her lips crimson. Perfect. Breha can relieve that Padme is convincing enough to fool anyone. Now Padme wears the white face paint, the red gown, and headdress of the queen, and Breha is just Alana, who wears the same flame-colored robes as the rest of the queen's handmaiden bodyguards. Alana does not exist, except when either one of them is in disguise. She hopes this works. The use of a decoy was established by the rulers before her, but Breha had never needed it until now. Meanwhile, everyone else is aghast, their pale face stricken. The queen has said something they can't believe.
You will stay on this planet with Captain Panika?
Be realistic. You are in great danger.
Your Majesty, you are hurt.
Call me Alana. From now on, my cousin Padme is Queen Breha Antilles.
In her theatrical paint and ornate dress, cloaking herself in trappings and makeup that disguise her true appearance while lending her an aura of both splendor and beauty, Padme stands. She looks almost identical to Breha.
We don't have time to argue, Alana, but this is not a good idea.
I'm not sure what you wish to accomplish by this. What is the purpose of escape if the queen remains?
Panika interjects, his voice is edged with iron.
Diverting the attention. Her Majesty will escape with us to the forest as a handmaiden. As the Queen's decoy, Padme and Prince Organa will go with you to Coruscant and inform the Republic.
Which will make the Separatists focus on chasing me off-world.
Qui-Gon thinks about it.
You can't see what's right under your own nose.
If my escape fails, the queen they may find won't be the queen they want.
It's far too reckless.
And it can work, but either choice presents a great risk to all of us.
Bail turns to Breha.
If we fail, they could execute you.
Breha can see in his eyes that he is not trying to scare the queen. He is stating something she knows as fact. Breha tries to look calm and composed.
I am aware. I can't leave Alderaan.
Unless she is crazy, of course. She makes this vow here. She will never be unprepared again. Qui-Gon's eyes throw her a look, somewhere between respect and disbelief.
Then it will be our pleasure to continue to protect you.
Master?
Obi-Wan is shocked that his master would go along with this plan.
Madness. This is madness.
Master. In a crisis, even a small distraction could be fatal.
A little faith sometimes goes a long way.
Obi-Wan makes a bitter smile. That's his master, finding optimism even in arduous times. Footnote. Redone was inspired by how A New Hope jumped between Luke with Obi-Wan and Leia on Death Star. Showing Leia reminds the audience what's really at stake and the goal of the plot. With Breha in hiding, it creates almost like a time bomb effect whether or not the Separatists would get them or not, as well as the true devastation of Alderaan. It is ridiculous in The Phantom Menace how everyone still calls Padme, Padme, despite being disguised as a handmaiden.
I'm Padme.
Boys, here to see Padme.
I'm sorry, but Padme's not here right now.
Even her body double calls her, in front of the Jedi and everyone.
Padme. Clean this droid up as best you can.
Her name cannot be a hidden knowledge considering the monarch on Naboo is an elected position, and throughout the trilogy, practically the entire galaxy, including the Republic and the Separatists, already knows her name. It makes me question if Lucas never wrote past the first draft of the script because errors like this instantly get noticed and fixed in the very next draft. Redone fills up the plot hole by having the real Queen use a fake name for her disguise. Billowing clouds frame a romantic body of water in the river. There is a loud rush of bubbles, and a large bongo pops to the surface. General Tarple steers the transport to the nearest shore and shuts down the engines. The bongo's bubble shield switches off, and the passengers begin disembarking to the shore. They squint upon looking up at a blaze of sunlight, clouds and blue sky overhead. They stand on the open grasslands, surrounded by waterfalls and wildflowers. The water meadows are populated by flocks of grazing shock. Jar Jar lets out a sigh of relief.
Descend lavally.
We're safe.
Only so far.
That's why we'll have to divide our forces here.
We're paying our life debt. Now you've got no business with the Gungans.
Padme, posed as Queen Breha, nods.
No business with the swamps.
Still remaining on the submarine with his father, Jar Jar's build mouth working, arms waving toward the Queen.
Good luck in your grand quest.
Padme turns to him and does not respond. She waves her hand only when Breha does it first. Jar Jar stands on the boat, smiling as the energy shield forms a gate. The bongo sinks into the river again back into the darkness of the deeper waters of Alderaan. The group of 40 starts away and splits into two. It is time to execute the plan. Qui-Gon places his hand on Breha's arm.
Alama, may the Force be with you.
Safe travels. The threat will be on you now.
It's not me, Your Majesty. I worry about you.
What if they realize you've never left the planet?
Breha looks at the council members, handmaidens, and her decoy Padme, all wearing scared looks on their faces. A look comes over her rugged face. Rueful. Sad. As she glances at her friends for what could be the last time, she can only hope that this plan will give them enough of a chance to save them all. She speaks as Alana.
Then the goddess of safety will bless all of us.
Panika carries her. Alana draws her hood up over her head. She gives a last look at Padme before her group heads in the opposite direction into the forest. Through the forest, it does not take them long to reach their destination. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Padme peek out to find a handful of Alderaanian ships grouped at the center of the hangar, sleek gleaming starfighters, their noses pointed toward a wide opening in the far wall. Battle droids guard each, positioned across the entire floor of the hangar to cut off any unseen approach. A row of sleek N-1 starfighters and the Monarch's royal starships sat in their docks along the walls. A group of Alderaanians and our 2 units are sitting, being held captive in a corner of the hangar by a squad of battle droids. The insignia on their uniforms indicate a mix of guards and pilots belonging to Alpha Squadron. The Jedi and Padme lean back in, to face the Royal Advisory Council.
It's too late. The hideout's already captured.
But not too long ago, the ships appear to be untouched.
And the pilots are yet to be transferred.
On the bright side, our disguise plan requires drawing some attention. They need to see me as the Queen.
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stare at each other and nod. A large crate flies and hits a rally of the captor droids. Their upper bodies break apart.
Stop, Jedi!
On the far side of the hangar, Obi-Wan Kenobi launches himself at the battle droids holding the pilots hostage, cutting into them with ferocious determination. The Alderaanian pilots fight back at their guards and steal the blaster rifles. Padme limps to pose as the Queen and fires at the droids with her pistol.
Pilots, get to your ships.
Pilots and astromech droids from the storage move quickly to board the Alderaanian starfighters amidst the firefight. Several of the Alderaanians go down, but the battle droids are unable to slow the Jedi. Padme points to a long, low ship on the far side of the hangar.
Who is the pilot of that Nubian transport?
Pilot Rick Oli, a human Alderaanian pilot, steps forward. He is quick to see what she intended.
Rick Oli, Your Majesty.
A J-Type 327 Nubian. In the distance, the alarms continue to sound their steady wail. All of the 20 royal guards leave the hangar through the side door they have entered to take up defensive positions and aim their weapons. The door behind them is shut and locked. Their expressions are as worry-wrinkled as their uniforms, and they carry about them the aura of men and women prepared to die. They are blasting at the incoming battle droids from the forest with every ounce of strength they possess, determined to stop the attack from the treacherous separatists. A battle droid is cut down by a hail of return fire from the royal guards, but another droid appears from behind it, firing as it steps over its fallen predecessor. The second droid also falls to the guards. A number of droids fall dead, their parts broken and shattered on the floor, but there are more where he came from, and they keep on coming. They have more than enough droids to overwhelm the security forces. As the security forces are repelling the battle droids swarming toward the hangar, Darth Maul has arrived nearby, hiding on top of the tree. He finds in the forest just beyond the area in which the battle droids and the guards fight, 3 destroyer droids, droidekis, roll into view.
Droidekas!
They resemble gleaming metal wheels as they round a corner, smooth and silent in their approach. One by one they begin to unfold, releasing tripods of spidery legs and stunted arms into which laser guns have been built. Crooked spines unlimber, and the droids rise to a standing position, armored heads cocked forward. They are wicked-looking and deadly, and they are built for one purpose only. Skittering forward, the destroyer droids trigger their laser guns, filling the open area with a deadly crossfire. Nowhere to go, the guards drop in a bloody massacre. The droidekis are thorough, spraying their victims left and right, even continuing to fire after all 20 have hit the floor. Blaster bolts pound the shut door. The droidekis' laser shots are ringing throughout the hangar, and everyone in the hangar stiffens or screams in a flash of panic. The blaster fire is now a continuous roar. The royal guards were not enough to create a distraction for them. Padme holds her composure just enough to not scream. Clambering aboard their starships, pilots in the cockpits, are 2 units in their sockets. They switch on their control panels and ignite their engines. Roars of engines fill the massive hangar, drowning out the sound of blaster fire. Rick Oli and Bail Organa get aboard. Pilot Oli races to his piloting seat and ignites the engines. Sparks blaze at the side doors frame. The enemies are cutting it from the other side. Gungan watches his progress, long hair flying out as he withstands yet another rush from the battle droids attempting to reclaim the Queen's transport, blocking their blaster bolts as he fights to hold the boarding ramp. Obi-Wan, Padme, and the Royal Advisory Council members are running toward the ship now, but several members of the Council are injured by the blaster fire, and the Nubian ship is already beginning to move forward. Obi-Wan tries his best to defend the Royal Council. One by one, the starfighters levitate and shift into position for takeoff, lifting off toward the open hangar doors. In the next instant, the door explodes, its blast knocking security guards flat across the floor, thrown to the ground by a brilliant flash. The droidekis wheel into the hangar, moving through the shattered door. Laser fire hammers at the sides of the sleek craft. Fragments cause Padme to stumble and fall to the floor. Explosions rise all around her, deadly laser fire burning into the floor. Obi-Wan pulls her up and helps her climb the ramp of the moving ship. Padme then reaches her hand toward the Royal Council members, who are trying their best to catch up to the ship, but their age is weighing them down, and the ship is fastening. Wait!
Faster! Faster!
The Nubian is about to shoot through the hangar doors, ripping past battle droids and laser fire from droidekis.
Slow the ship!
It's too late.
Obi-Wan pulls her into the ship right before the ramp closes. The ship and its starfighter fleet lift away from the hangar. Maul has reached on the roof of the hangar building. As he sprints toward the edge of the massive hangar door, he throws a portable device just as the Nubian ship flies into the blue, sunlit sky. He has just timed right, the device attaches itself to the hull of the ship. As the Nubian accelerates, the last pair of Alderaanian starfighters rocket out of the hangar. The first gets free, but the second gets hit by tank fire and knocks sideways, so that it pinwheels into the ground and explodes in a ball of flame. Dazed, Padme sits and takes a deep breath before beating the seat with her fist. The entire Royal Advisory Council is captured by the Separatists. She gives him a quick glance up at Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan tries to console her.
I'm sorry, Your Highness. There was no way to save them.
He is right. She tells herself. The silver dots take on recognizable shapes, transforming into Alderaanian starfighters, spread out against the blackness, approaching the larger, blockier form of the battleship. Obi-Wan and a distraught Padme walk into the cockpit. Rick Oli sat hunched forward over the controls, his weathered face intense, a sheen of sweat beading his forehead, hands steady on the controls. As Qui-Gon Jinn and Bail Organa stand next to the pilot, looking up at the viewport, Obi-Wan sits next to them in the co-pilot's seat, lending help. The planet of Alderaan is left behind in seconds, the Nubian ship, escorted by a fleet of starfighters, rising into the darkness of space, arcing toward a suddenly visible cluster of separatist battleships blocking its way. The comm system squawks, and they hear the voices of the Alderaanian pilots who had taken off ahead of them.
There's the blockade.
The guns on the separatist ships rotate to take aim at the Alderaanian ship soaring from the planet. They begin firing their cannons. The Queen's transport is rocked so violently by the blasts that it is thrown from its trajectory. Rick Oli's gloved hands are locked onto the steering grips, fighting to bring the slender craft back into line.
Fighters, distract enemy fire. Do you have a weapon? This is not a warship. We are a non-violent people.
Which is why the Separatists were brave enough to attack us in the first place.
For Alderaan.
The Alderaanian fighters gather in front of the Nubian ship, distracting the Separatist battleship's line of sight. In the process, several of the Alderaanian fighters get shot and explode. Fighters are exploding all around the Nubian, some so close the Jedi can see the pieces as the ship flies past the canopy.
We are losing fighters fast.
Shields, too. Our deflector shields can't withstand this.
We should abort.
Stay on course.
A series of explosions jar the Nubian, and the lights on the control panel flicker. An alarm sounds, shrill and angry. The transport shudders, its power drive stalling momentarily in a high-pitched whine. Another scream comes from the comm.
This is suicidal.
Padme feels a stab of anguish, as if her heart has cracked in two.
Getting past their blockade is impossible, even with the help of fighters.
We're past the point of retreating. Just keep the fleet on course.
The Queen's transport accelerates, racing toward the enemy craft, whipping past towers and gunports, bays, and stabilizers, speeding down an alleyway of jagged metal protrusions and cannon fire. The Alderaanian fighters are attacking the laser cannons in a suicidal attack, diverting the laser fire from the Royal Cruiser. Most of the Alderaanian fighters get shot down, leaving only a few. One of the pilots screams into the comm as his ship is blasted. The ship rocks as yet another bolt from a battleship explodes against the shields.
We won't make it.
A sound of explosion rings, and the transmission is cut off after the scream. Another bites the laser fire.
The danger is too great.
Padme feels her heart contract with the pilot's pain. She had already come from seeing so much suffering on her world. She didn't want to be the one responsible of any of this. Qui-Gon begins reciting the Jedi Code as a prayer to bring to mind and keep himself focused.
There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge.
It connects him deeper to the Force in times of crisis and trials. The transport is so close to the battleship that the larger guns are rendered useless and only the smaller can chance firing at them.
There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force.
As the last of the Alderaanian fighters is blasted, the transport rockets away from both the battleship, leaving the Trade Federation blockade and the planet of Alderaan behind. No more laser blasts the Nubian ship as if prayers have worked. The Alderaanian ship makes a lightspeed jump. As the battleships shrink behind them as the stars stretch to blinding lines, Obi-Wan smiles, upon checking the shield gauge almost emptied.
That's the worst of it.
Simultaneously, the pilot screams a whoop of joy, giving a shout of approval. Qui-Gon falls into the seat, almost fainting.
We've made it.
Only Padme is not enjoying a moment of relief. Quietly, she leaves the cockpit. Padme sits in the seat and covers her smooth face, tears glittering in her eyes. They had a victory, but that victory sacrificed people. She is the one who sacrificed all those pilots, who believed they were protecting the Queen. She will have to find a way to bear that pain. Footnote. Escaping from the Trade Federation's blockade in the movie is a suspenseful scene that makes no sense when you think about the context for a moment. The Trade Federation's blockade is what drives the central conflict. The planetary blockade is such concrete that people on the Naboo are starving to death. No one is able to get out. Then how the blockade comprised of a literal dozen battleships unable to block a single non-warship? In A New Hope, the Empire let go of Falcon to escape from Death Star so they can track them to the rebel base.
You're sure the homing beacon is secure aboard their ship? I'm taking an awful risk, Vader. This had better work.
In The Empire Strikes Back, the rebels barely escaped the Imperial blockade by assisting the rebel transports from the ground in the elaborate group plan, and that was just only one Star Destroyer blockading the transport. What is the excuse for this scene in The Phantom Menace? If the blockade with tens of battleships is this inefficient, why not everyone in the Naboo just flee at once? While REDONE carries over the same scene from the movie, but justifies the escape by having the Alderaanian fleet of starfighters sacrificing themselves for the Nubian ship. Luca's decision to put the impersonator subplot baffles me. Padme has a subplot about how the Queen disguises herself as a handmaiden. There is a twist where she reveals herself to the Gungans and everyone around her, and this is treated as a big whoa moment. This is likely Lucas' way of paying a homage to Kagemusha because he loves Kurosawa. Here is the thing, what's the point? Since both the Queen and the Double go with the Jedi to flee, how does that influence the plot? What are the stakes to her getting caught by the Jedi during the Tatooine scenes? If she either got caught by the Jedi, Anakin, or Jar Jar or never disguised herself in the first place, nothing in the plot would have changed. If there is no meaningful difference, there is no reason for this subplot to exist. This is the constant problem with the prequel trilogy, in which Lucas shoehorns in a bunch of random, undeveloped plot elements into the already cluttered story then drops them without much exploration. This problem gets worse, far worse in Attack of the Clones.
Please tell your master, Cypher DS, that his order will be met on time.
I'm sorry, Master...
Jedi Master Cypher Diaz is still a leading member of the Jedi Council, is he not?
Master Cypher Diaz was killed almost 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But I'm sure he would have been proud of the army we've built for him.
The army?
But that discussion is for the later. I have been experimenting and playing around with the body double concept in various different ways for several iterations. I wanted to make it clear about the body double from the get-go rather than making it a twist. If we know the truth about the Queen beforehand, the stakes also become clearer in the Hitchcockian bomb-under-the-table logic.
4 people are sitting around a table, talking about baseball, whatever you like. 5 minutes of it, very dull. Suddenly, a bomb goes up, blows the people to sleep. What do the audience have? 10 seconds of shock. Now take the same scene and tell the audience there is a bomb under that table and will go off in 5 minutes. Well, the whole emotion of the audience is totally different because you've given them that information. So in 5 minutes' time, that bomb will go off. Now the conversation about baseball becomes very vital because they're saying to you, don't be ridiculous, stop talking about baseball, there's a bomb under there.
When the stormtroopers are searching the town, originally it wasn't revealed that the droids were behind the door until the very end. But there was no suspense that way, so in the edit they reversed the shot of the door opening and added in this line.
Lock the door, R2.
Alright, check this side of the street.
It's a small thing again, but every moment helps.
REDONE plays with this concept by building scenes around her identity being jeopardized, creating tension in every moment. REDONE made it so that Breha Antilles, who appears at the end of Revenge of the Sith as the Alderaanian Queen, takes the movie Padme's role as the real Queen, while REDONE Padme takes Sabe's role as a body double, while taking Padme's character. REDONE also puts the real Queen on Alderaan, disguised as a handmaiden, while having Padme flee Alderaan with the Jedi to divert the Separatists' attention. This change made it so that there was a good reason for the Queen to disguise. If the double's secret gets exposed, there is real consequence because the villains need the Queen in their agenda of occupying the system. I wanted to add several character moments for Padme. It was not enough to show our heroes triumphantly escaping from Alderaan and saying, well, that's it, next scene. The deaths of the Alderaanian pilots represent all the people who didn't make it, and having Padme trying to imagine the guilt she feels for surviving where others die makes for a more memorable moment of harrowing beauty and a character to breathe. Newt Gunray surveys the surroundings with a smile. They have settled into the palace as though it had been built just for them. We see ammo casings and broken glass everywhere. Sheets are draped over piles of bodies, handmaidens, delegates, and royal guards whose stench attract flies. Just above bodies, around chest height, a half-dozen blood-ringed craters mar the wall. He does not often notice his surroundings except as something to move through and exploit in order to accomplish a task, but here he begins to see what lies ahead for him: corporate control of the galaxy, with every luxury at their feet. Rune Hako has been talking with the hologram of Darth Sidious projected from the crawling holo device. The hologram of Darth Sidious seems to make the surroundings darker, just by being there.
Just like you told us, the invasion of Alderaan was a breeze.
No one must leak this invasion until the Queen signs a treaty to join you. The pressure through the blockade can be argued as legal, not the invasion.
But my lord, once Alderaan declares itself to be part of the Separatist alliance, the Senate will work out what really went down.
I have the Senate bogged down in procedures. Those fools will not dare to make a move as long as the Queen voices your calls for independence.
The Loyalist Republic senators will accuse of what really happened, but the allies in the Senate will deny it, and the Separatists will face no legal consequences.
Who else knows about the invasion?
Newt Gunray joins in the conversation.
Only the Trade Federation.
Infamously untrustworthy, Sidious crosses his arms.
Are you sure you are still in control of your own corporate conglomerate?
Yes, Lord Sidious. Publicly, the Trade Federation will distance from me and deny all links to the Separatist movement to maintain an influence in the Republic Senate.
But, my lord, that is going to merely be an act.
Yes, the Federation will let me remain as the Viceroy in secret and pledge financial support to the Separatist cause.
Good, very good.
But something does not sit well with him.
Is the planet secure?
Other native inhabitants called Gungans live in the jungles, but they won't be a problem. We should be in complete control of the planet in the following week.
This is not hard for them to accomplish. They have every arsenal imaginable. They won't have to dirty their hands. However, as the lieutenant puffs up with his success, Palpatine sees his eyes dart nervously. When one rules by fear, one comes to recognize the signs. There is a fraction of hesitation to Newt as well.
The Queen will soon be in our hands, my lord. Queen Brehan Tillis is young and naive. With her Royal Advisory Council captured, controlling her should not be difficult.
Smile fades from Sidious' mouth. As always, those who serve Sidious always start out with good news. He doesn't let himself blinded by their self-congratulation. The more they blather, the more they are trying to cover their mistakes. Sidious recognizes the sign of an underling reluctant to impart bad news.
Have you still not captured the Queen?
Newt Gunray takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly.
She has disappeared, my lord. There was an escape.
He escaped?
We tried to give pursuit, but...
How did she escape, Viceroy?
The Jedi, my lord. They escorted her to the transport. Their Alderaan cruiser got past the blockade.
Viceroy!
Sidious' voice becomes unnatural. Newt and Rune's eyes are glassy with fear. His anger is now like a living presence in the room. The Neimoidians are caving in at the first sign of pressure.
If the Queen escapes, you don't control the Alderaanians. The invasion must be kept hidden.
We were very well aware.
Seize her! By any means necessary.
My lord, we can't divert our troops from the occupation. They're out of our range.
Not for the Sith.
Something shimmers behind the hologram, and a hooded figure emerges from the darkness behind Darth Sidious' image, and for the first time, we see this stalker in full view. Whereas Darth Sidious is a vague and shadowy presence, this Sith is truly terrifying to look upon. His face is a mask of jagged red and black patterns, the design etched into his skin, and his skull is hairless and studded with a crown of short, hooked horns. And he is in this very room.
Who is this?
When did you come here? Guards. Guards.
This is my apprentice, Darth Maul. He will find your lost ship.
I have installed a tracking device on the Queen's transport. It wouldn't be difficult to locate them.
Gleaming yellow eyes fix on the Neimoidians, breaking past their defenses, stripping them bare and dismissing them as insignificant and foolish. Newt can't even look him in the face, so he turns to Sidious, who at least hides his entire face with his hood.
Good. Good. Chase them right now.
The holograms wink out, leaving only the Neimoidians and this new Sith Lord. Footsteps of the battle droids are sounding in the chamber.
Unauthorized personnel have entered the area.
The Sith climbs to the window and crouches on the ledge. He stares at Newt Gunray.
You will meet me in person again, if you fail.
Maul then slips down the ledge, as if he has fallen to the dark cityscape of Alderaan. The Neimoidians rush to the window and look where he went. He has disappeared. Droid Commander OOM-9 with the other battle droids have arrived and come to Newt and Rune to their aid. Its blank, metallic voice is frightening.
The intruder must be neutralized.
Rune waves his hand to dismiss them.
Situation normal.
Newt and Rune shudder.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
We should not have made this bargain. Newt, what will happen when the Jedi become aware of these Sith Lords?
Newt had been wondering about that himself. At least he doesn't have to find that ship. For some reason, that worries him almost as much as the missing ship. Footnote. The overarching thematic concept of the Phantom Menace is well thought out. The Republic is corrupt and controlled by bureaucrats and special interests from the core worlds, which are exploiting the Outer Rim worlds. The planetary rights people band together and fight elitist core planets, a movement that is ultimately hijacked by greedy capitalists for their gains. This sets up the clone wars that bankrupt everyone and leave the galaxy in ruin, which leads to fascists taking over. The politicking of the prequels is a half-decent examination of how democracies fall into authoritarianism in theory, but it means jack if it is not dramatized. Lucas tells this story in the most unexciting, confusing, and boring way possible. For once, the Trade Federation's motivations and grievances are never made clear. Their plan is apparently to invade the peaceful planet of Naboo and force the Queen to sign the free trade petition that would support turning the free trade zones back into tax-free areas, so they wouldn't pay more taxes.
What are you talking about?
The Trade Federation invades the planet. Is the Trade Federation a country, separate from the Republic? If it isn't, then how does it have an army? Is the Republic now at war with them? The Republic Chancellor arrives, and the Jedi and the Naboo people arrest the heads of the Trade Federation away, so is the Trade Federation banned. Even if the bad guys succeed, the galaxy is not in danger, as it would be in the other Star Wars films. What happens if the bad guys get the Queen to sign the treaty? The corporate alien guys get to do more trades, freely. Yeah, that's about it. That's what this movie is about. It's even ambiguous as to what the Trade Federation's goal is. Why would anyone invade Naboo of all places to protest the tax law? Wouldn't they be able to get a healthy petition of hundreds of worlds without risking everything with a planetary invasion? If they're going to blockade planets, why not blockade a place that might damage the core world's economy, like an industrialized manufacturing world or a mining colony? The treaty they want the Queen to sign would make the occupation legal, and that's all that is said about it.
How will you explain this invasion to the Senate?
The Queen and I will sign a treaty that will legitimize our occupation here. I have assurances it will be ratified by the Senate.
The treaty would essentially end the conflict, but Palpatine wants conflict so that he can use it to seize power. Then, in the movie, Palpatine says,
I want that treaty signed.
Admittedly, there is technically an explanation for all of it. Palpatine wants to get sympathy votes as the senator of Naboo and call for a vote of no confidence, opposed to the Queen, who does it in the movie, and according to the lore, Naboo has the plasma energy, but I'm talking about how the audience who is watching the movie for the first time in the theater, not someone who is deep in Wikipedia, let alone someone who does not know about the Sidious twist. Despite being more political, movies like Dune and The Matrix are perfectly graspable for the audience who watches for the first time. Because the villain's motives are well fleshed out from the villain's perspective. The casual audience can infer what it's all about. We barely know about what the Federation is or the reason behind the Republic taxing of the free trade zones. We don't even have an angry, anti-tax, planetary rights rant by one of the Trade Federation officials, where he gets all worked up at how it will threaten the conditions of millions of lives in the Outer Rim. Newt Gunray isn't even a motivated villain shaking his fist how the Republic is trying to screw him. The movie just drops the audience into the middle of the ongoing web of conspiracies. Even if you understand what the plot of The Phantom Menace is all about after reading a bunch of Wikipedia articles, the stakes are ambiguous. Prove the Trade Federation is blockading Naboo, why? Aren't their cargo ships getting blocked from entering the planet and contacting their companies or home governments? We don't see any ships get actually blocked by the blockade other than the Royal Cruiser. We don't see long queues of Republic starships being turned away at cannon point by the Separatist ships. Imagine Amazon blockading Rhode Island. Do you think it is possible to conceal the blockade from the US government or UN? The reason why the original trilogy was universal was the clarity inside the complex situations that we only get a peek of. No scene or line in the first two movies is a wasted time. A New Hope juggles with the introductions of complicated concepts, like the Force, Luke's journey to a Jedi, and the Empire's intent to control the galaxy using the superweapon, but the overarching storyline is easy to follow, all building toward the theme of human spirit versus technology. How long did it take to find out that Leia gave R2-D2 the Death Star plans? We see it in the opening. Just a few scenes in, and it clicks and makes sense. This matters because this is at the heart of what the plot is about. If we don't know what the rules are, the whole premise falls apart. How can the audience care about what's happening? This is why the stakes need to be crystal clear. If we need to read articles and piece together from the other two movies to figure out that's an artifact of poor writing, there is no other explanation. Even compare the wooden Federation/Separatist officials in the prequels with the combative governors in A New Hope, and it is night and day. You shouldn't have to read a comic, or a novelization, or the back of a cereal box to understand the villain's motivations in the movie. Although a complex multifaceted backstory involving elections, electoral politics, voting, taxation, free trade, treaties in a 2-hour fantasy film for all ages is not always impossible to write, The Phantom Menace is often a result. In most cases, it is better to simplify and streamline. As REDONE changes the villains from the Trade Federation to the Separatist Alliance, the villain's plan is to guarantee independence from the Republic by holding Alderaan as hostage. This will be elaborated later, but as mentioned before, this is a far more understandable motivation than the whole trade and taxation deal. The secessionists acting as an aggressive rogue state makes more sense considering the nature of whom they are and the circumstances they are put in. Real-life separatists do the similar acts, whereas you don't get a lot of examples of the megacorporations literally invading provinces with the PMCs to protest tax laws. The Trade Federation is still a thing in this rewrite, playing both sides in the conflict as war profiteers and supplying weapons to the separatists, but they are not the upfront villain organization in the plot. Its presence is more of a symbol of the decaying Senate mired with corruption. The blockade's consequences are a lot clearer with the battleships threatening supply ships to turn away. The world-building dialogues make the political dynamics clearer and more enjoyable by adding more conflict between characters. In particular, you get the scenes of the separatist villains arguing for their positions and motives against our heroes. The separatists still try to capture the Queen like in the movie, but there is more of an elaboration as to why they need her and do not want the invasion to be leaked so that the audience can understand what's at the stakes. In the movie, Obi-Wan says if the Queen responds to the message from Naboo, the villains will be able to track their location, so none of the crew responds to the message.
It's a trick. Send no reply. Send no transmissions of any kind.
Later, Maul somehow tracks them to Tatooine.
Tatooine is sparsely populated. If the trace was correct, I will find them quickly, Master.
There is no reason given to how Maul found the Jedi and the Queen are on Tatooine. Unless Jar Jar somehow deliberately responded off-screen because he's a Sith Lord or something, there was no way for the villains to know where the Jedi are in the movie. REDONE patches up this plot hole with the homing beacon. The near-to-endless region in the Outer Rim is contrasted with a vast colorful dust cloud in the far distance, outright dense for the bare eye. Myriad gaseous streams and surreal colors fill frame. A colorful nebula with layers and wakes forms a striking background. A starship jumps out of light speed. A small J-type 327 Nubian royal starship belonging to Alderaan has been stalled somewhere in the Outer Rim territories. The pilot notifies the passengers from the cockpit.
It'll take a few moments to recalibrate the coordinates to Coruscant.
Padme tears up, still thinking about those who were lost. They say laughter is the best medicine. Too bad this situation isn't funny.
I wonder if those pilots felt better about dying for the Queen, not knowing that I'm fake.
They didn't die for nothing. You should understand you are as crucial for Alderaan's survival as the Queen.
That doesn't change the fact that she tricked those pilots to a certain death.
I understand their blood is on my hands.
Not on your hands. The Republic was warned about what was at stake, and about what threat the Separatists would pose, and how close to the edge it is.
He hopes this invasion awakens the Republic. He has almost no other things left to hope for. The multi-generational betrayal of the Republic failing to give its citizens better lives, and instead giving those better lives to the corporate entities that do not belong to any planet and star system is too unrealistically wicked. The enablers at the Senate may not think they are traitors, but it is not making it any less true.
If Alderaan survives the next decade, we need to build a monument dedicated to their incompetence.
Incompetence would be better. This is malice.
I do wonder though. Who exactly do the Separatists think this would end well for them? That the Chancellor would tolerate it?
Regardless of his will, he has little real power to sway the senators. That's why he didn't notify the Senate before sending you. He is mired down by accusations of corruption.
Are those accusations true?
It doesn't matter. It weakens him. The bureaucrats are in charge.
Padme had thought Chancellor Valorum still held his power base. The news that he is possibly weaker than she thought is distressing.
Then Senator Palpatine is our best chance.
He is only a senator.
He's the most popular senator. We are lucky to have Palpatine as our representative.
Not only popular, Palpatine writes and gives speeches extensively, and his notes about the chancellorship needing broader authority to act against the separatists became popular texts among political and military science students. His theories became well known enough for them to be taught at leading universities throughout the galaxy.
His decades of warnings against separatism have come to tragic fruition.
I'm no admirer of his bulldozer approach, but he's the one who forced the Chancellor to send the Jedi.
Bale hates to say it. As his junior representative, he had numerous conflicts with Palpatine, but perhaps at this point he may prove a great tool in their cause.
If he could do that, he's our only hope of pushing the Senate to save Alderaan.
Obi-Wan stands there wide-eyed, rooted to the spot. His despair wanders off again as he stares upon the distant formations of the deep nebula and the vicinity of the ship through the viewport. Intense and wild they are, with an object moving itself. It doesn't seem to be an asteroid of any other type of debris, just barely visible among the dense cloud of the nebula. Something is focusing itself at the center of the object, growing larger as it emits more and more light. Recognizing the object, his eyes widen as it becomes clear to him. It is not his imagination. Obi-Wan realizes it is a starship.
Master.
Qui-Gon looks up to his left and sees a faint visual of a lone ship flying in the distance. He watches it with mounting interest.
Are they chasing us?
Qui-Gon looks across at the droning ship with growing suspicion. The ship begins veering off its parallel course and heading straight for the Nubian ship. It continues flying toward them.
It doesn't look separatist. Or the Republic, for that matter. Could be.
Qui-Gon senses a disturbance in the Force. And not just a subtle fluctuation. Something major is about to happen, something incredibly significant. Something that will change everything. The ship roars on and we hear sharp cracks of laser fire mixed with the sound of the engine, as the laser bolts slam into the viewport. The Nubian ship bucks wildly at the first hits and the two Jedi and Padme stagger backward to the floor. White-blue sparks flash outside the viewport, but the shields hold. Like a giant bird, the hostile flies over the viewport, the Nubian ship, and roars on, out of sight.
Well, it's clearly hostile.
They leap to their feet in response and race to the cockpit. Dashing into the cockpit, the princess calls for Oli.
Pilot Oli!
Rick Oli has been reacting to this new peril.
Strap in! Full power!
He reignites the engine. A deep throbbing starts somewhere within the ship as he activates the engines. The Jedi and Padme begin strapping themselves into the vacant seats. Pilot Rick Oli's eyes fix on the viewport. They see the enemy ship banking for another run at them.
We need to off this place, now.
How long until the hyperspace route is calculated?
Just 3 more minutes.
Darth Maul is piloting the starfighter. Maul serves his master in the glorious Sith tradition. They are no less powerful for being hidden. They grow in the darkness. They gain strength from it. The Sith circle their enemy, the Jedi, and they do not know it. They laugh at what they think of as their power. Fools and liars, the Jedi think they have tapped the strength of the Force. Yet they ignore the dark side. It is their most profound mistake, the deepest foolishness of their order. But one day the galaxy will see where true strength lies. Rear scanners show the hostile starship shrinking rapidly behind them. It isn't rapid enough to eliminate the point of light that indicates the presence of the pursuing ship. Eventually, the hostile ship catches up to the Nubian ship. A bright flash explodes outside the cockpit. Right behind the Nubian, a stealth starship, Scimitar, chases after it. A volley of laser fire pounds the Nubian ship's deflector shields. Fresh explosions continue to flare close by despite Rick's best efforts at evasion.
I know a few maneuvers. Hold on!
The ship shakes again as its shields take another hit. The ship jolts and rocks in a violent manner. A series of explosions jars the Nubian, and the lights on the control panel flicker weakly. He swings the handle to the right, filling the ship with the quake as it rotates. The passengers hold tight, every nerve screaming. The ship tilts and the laser fire follows. That brief shaking causes fear, brittle as ice, to strike their hearts. On the pilot's console, a red warning light begins to flash for attention.
The shields are gone.
I don't know how much more we can take.
2 minutes. I just need 2 minutes.
We don't have 2 minutes.
The Nubian ship dodges and evades, shaking off the scimitar, but the laser fire comes fast and hot now that the pilot can no longer avoid the bulk of it. One hits the left engine of the Nubian ship in a blossom of flame. A gigantic explosion erupts and damages the frontal part of the ship. The ship shudders and rocks like it is on the verge of exploding in a blast wave. Then the running lights begin to flicker and die, and the transport shakes violently.
Even 1 minute sounds optimistic.
Just launch us to light speed.
Calculating a hyperspace jump is no mean trick. If we rushed it and passed right through a star or a black hole.
The violent quake consumes the whole ship and cuts the power. The lights go out and the darkness fills the room.
Anywhere is safer than here.
The explosion rocks the cockpit again. A red light flashes overhead, beeping out warning after warning after warning.
I must agree with her.
Do it.
Better strap yourselves back in. It could get bad if we take a near burst at the wrong moment.
Rick reaches for the hyperdrive controls and throws the ignition switch. The stars brighten around them, flaring to life in the second before the ship picks up speed. The pilot and the passengers are pushed back against seat as the Nubian ship flies forward into hyperspace, leaving the scimitar to eat its dust. The field of distant stars transforms into long streaks of light that radiate from infinity and appear to sweep over the ship. The Nubian royal ship has entered hyperspace, a dimension of spacetime that allows faster-than-light travel across the galaxy. The Nubian ship is speeding in bright, blue hyperspace. And because it is impossible to follow a ship through hyperspace, the Nubian ship has effectively escaped the hostile starfighter. After going through several parsecs, the Nubian ship decelerates and drops into real space. The energy shimmers that had been visible outside the cockpit window are replaced by a field of distant stars. Red emergency lights are on. Pilot Oli makes a thorough check of the controls, assessing their damage, trying to determine what is needed.
Everyone okay?
An exhausted Prince wipes his brow.
I think so.
The pilot sighs.
Seems like we were lucky.
You call it luck. We call it the Force.
Padme sniffs.
I smell heat and smoke.
I'll check the hyperdrive.
He runs out of the cockpit. Obi-Wan runs and opens the door to the ship's hyperdrive bay. He stares in disbelief, then in horror. The flames roar, the orange tongues licking up, consuming the hyperdrive. Smoke billows out of the sparking hyperdrive. Obi-Wan presses a control panel that sucks out the smoke. He detaches a fire extinguisher from the wall and sprays at the roaring fire a powerful stream of white foam. He pulls out her comlink and reports to the cockpit.
I think the laser fire hit the fuel tank. The hyperdrive is burning. We'll need a new one.
Hearing Obi-Wan's voice from Qui-Gon's comlink, he punches up the star maps on the monitors.
We'll have to land somewhere to repair the ship.
What's out there?
Rick Oli points at the readouts in front of him. Qui-Gon stands behind the pilot, peering over his shoulder to look at the monitor.
Here, Tatooine. Small, poor, and out of the way.
The nearby planet chart hunches over the monitor, desolate and yellow, flecked with bands of white cloud, covered in harsh deserts.
And the Separatists have no presence there.
How can you be sure, Master?
It's controlled by the Hutts.
Bail Organa shouts in alarm.
The Hutts.
Qui-Gon says in an absent tone as he studies the screen.
It's risky, but there's no reasonable alternative.
You can't take Her Highness there. The Hutts are gangsters.
Some of the worst people in the galaxy.
They are an alliance of gangs dominating the Outer Rim, controlling the bulk of the trafficking in illegal goods and piracy.
The Hutts are, but the merchants there can be friendly. People mind their own business as long as they don't want to cut their life expectancy by half.
Obi-Wan is not convinced. A delay now can cost many lives.
Master, I must agree with Prince Organa on this. Our chances of success are small enough as it is.
It's not the first time Obi-Wan has disagreed with his plans, and he doubts it will be the last, Qui-Gon thinks.
If they discovered who we were,
it'd be no different than landing on a system controlled by the Separatists, except the Hutts are not looking for us. That gives us an advantage.
Padme is nervous, but she is also interested. She has not seen many of the worlds away from her own. She imagines it to be noisy, dusty, and dangerous.
Your Highness.
What other options do we have?
Prince Organa starts to say something more, then thinks better of it. He takes a deep breath instead, frustration etched on his face. Obi-Wan hesitates a moment longer. Master Qui-Gon can be so stubborn, but Obi-Wan thinks the matter through. He'd been on the receiving end of Qui-Gon's relentless arguments often enough, but this time they really have no choice. Not if they want to stay out of the hands of the Separatists long enough to get to Coruscant.
I respect your judgment in this, Master, but it doesn't stop me from worrying.
Qui-Gon Jinn taps Rick Oli on the shoulder.
Set course for Tatooine.
He heads out, leaving the 3 nervous Alderaanians in the cockpit. Obi-Wan puts out the last flames in the room. The vents suck out the smoke. He puts the fire extinguisher back on where it was and sits against the wall, sinking to a seat at the table. He begins to calm his mind. Qui-Gon walks over to him. He seems rather stiff.
We need to talk.
Obi-Wan is not particularly in a mood to be disturbed, especially when he is resting.
I thought it was decided.
This is not about Tatooine. This is something we should discuss privately.
Obi-Wan's eyes lift to find him. He gets to his feet and straightens up.
What is it, Master?
That ship, the one chasing us.
Someone sent by the Separatists, I'm sure.
I've never seen Separatists on a ship like that.
It could have been bounty hunters or mercenaries.
No.
What are you suggesting?
Qui-Gon's throat goes dry.
I felt something then. A disturbance in the Force.
The faint disturbance he had felt earlier had vanished completely, but Qui-Gon has great sensitivity to the living Force. Obi-Wan has learned to respect his master's instincts. Some new problem, then.
I did, too. I assumed it to be the hostile intention of the attacker.
It wasn't just a disturbance.
He lowers his voice to a near whisper.
I felt the dark side.
For a second, Obi-Wan stands there, blinking, mouth agape. Through his shock, he manages to say,
The dark side? Are you sure?
Qui-Gon is confident in a way that is disturbing.
Pretty sure. Someone on that ship channeled the dark side of the Force. And I sensed the same during the ambush at the palace.
Dread is a dark miasma, filling him until he is sick with it. The new implication sinks in, and Obi-Wan allows the possibility. He refuses to believe it. There are many users of the dark side, only a few use it knowingly, most don't. Still, if Qui-Gon had sensed it from this distance, that someone must have been powerful and trained.